Commonwealth that we have spoken of before. We got some things happening in the Commonwealth that not very good, not very good. So what is going on? All right, here's Facebook is coming around. Okay, the shot. Hopefully my shot is right. N.B.A. free agency and draft. Some things are going on here in the Commonwealth. Boy, oh boy. Something's not broke. Who needs to fix it? Apparently the Celtics. And we're going to get into all the talk about the second apron, and I'll none of it. Okay? That's what I can say. I will none of it. In terms of trying to explain and nope. I'm not having it. By the way, shout out to TJ Husmanjada. Woo! TJ taking over on Nightcap. TJ strong. Up on game is okay. We don't play a hate, we congratulate. So it's a beautiful thing right now. TJ Husmanjada, he knows sports and his story, talking about how he got to where he got to. Learned that on the Lemon Pepper Parlay, TJ and Rob Parker. So a lot of talent, of course. But SandCity, we had to get an episode tonight based on the ridiculousness that's taking place just across in the Northeast in general. Okay, our Twitch is good, YouTube is good, Twitter is good, IG, Facebook, we're good, okay? You understand? So let's oh, somebody's in the chat. What's up? Chris is here. What is going on, Chris? We need you. Oh, you love the Drew trade. We're going to have to talk on this. Okay? You love the Drew trade. I am I'm off the bandwagon in terms of the Drew trade. KP a little bit different, but I've said on previous episodes, you know what I mean? You broke up the core four, the window is closed. It's over. Okay, let's get it. This is not a hot take. This has been my consistent take. It's over. This dynastic, which is what this team is, was. You had the chance to win multiple championships. They were dynastic. So, Chris, I appreciate you. Chris likes the Drew trade. Give me all your feelings. The KP is a little bit different. Okay, because again, for me, I said, KP, I want to keep everybody. We're going to talk about the second apron. We're going to talk about that because this idea about financial implications, you got to get ahead. We're going to speak on that because I don't buy it. Okay, I don't buy it. And so, whoever, I know there's a lot of people. You got, the Boston Globe and a lot of people looking at this, a lot of different, and I'm just a guy. I don't buy it. And I'm going to give you my takes on why this idea of the second apron and the necessity or that's not the word I'm looking for. The inevitability is what I'm looking for. The idea that this was inevitable. Okay, hold on. See, my shot is still good. Shot is still good. Okay, everything is good. I got my beard oil stuff. Man, I got, woo! Everything is good over here. I got my books and, my personal paper, so I'm about to. Yeah, Chris, 5 to 8 seed. Okay, you Celtics, you were the 2 seed. If you had your act together during the regular season, you would have been the 1 seed. If you gave Joe Mazzulla the help that he needed on the bench, out here acting like Joe Mazzulla is somehow a wonderkin, as if Joe Mazzulla is a prodigy. I like the Wizards move, even though the Wizards are a dumpster fire. But go ahead, I have New Orleans, what are we talking? What are we doing? Who is the GM? Is David Griffin still in? What are we doing? Zion Williamson, can't pronounce it. Zion, inconsistent. Inconsistent Zion. That's why CJ McConnell was great for that team, because he brought stability. You had Zion, needs guidance. Brandon Ingram needed guidance. So you bring in CJ, and they had some things going on. CJ, veteran, was going to say OG, veteran, to come in and bring some stability. Green, Coach Green, forget his name's escaping me right now, that came in, and the first year was good, and then they kind of U-turn. A lot of teams in the West U-turn. Utah Jazz U-turn. Sacramento Kings U-turn. So for Washington, okay, you bring in CJ, the rookie Sarr, okay, right, promising, right? These gazelles, these 7'2" gazelles. There was a 7'4" gazelle that was in New England. Okay, had coaches from across the country. It's a beautiful thing over the weekend. By the way, I got my first annual Jordan Fisher tournament in Harwich. Okay, near and dear to my heart. Okay, it was a tournament that was done to remember one of our young people, a great athlete, great young man who passed in a wrong way car accident. But just want to shout out, Jordan Fisher. The tournament doesn't run anymore, but still, I was out in Harwich today for the our men's league is out there at the community center in Harwich. So every time, I'm out there, I'm reminded, and so respect. Okay, Wizards, Middleton, and Smart. Thank you, Chris. I got a little confused with the Middleton, and that was part of the Bucks shakeup to bring Kyle Kuzma over to Milwaukee. I have Drew returning to Milwaukee. He's not staying in Portland, so that's not happening. Team that's going no. Portland doesn't even know who they are. All right, Chauncey, I feel, is a good coach, but the team is Portland is the redheaded. No, that's not what I want to say. Portland is the kid brother, the little sibling who can't get right of the Houston Rockets, because the teams are identical in terms of just young lions with a little bit of it. Like Anthony Simmons was a little bit older. I played with Dame, but you got Shaedon Sharpe. You got Scoot Henderson. You got Donovan Clingan. Okay. Grant is still there in Portland. They're a talented team. Why are they god awful? You look at Portland, and why is Houston the number 2 seed in the West, about to challenge Oklahoma City for the number 1 seed in the West? I like Chauncey, drafted by the Celtics, big body. He's the original bodyguard. We talk about big body Brunson. Okay, it started with the bodyguard Chauncey Billups, right? Who brought prosperity to the Pistons. Only won 1 championship. Could have won 3 or 4. The Spurs stole one in 05. Stole. Robert Horry, big shot, forcing it to a game 7. Go ahead and let's that game 7 in San Antonio was wild. And the Spurs squeaked out that game. Okay. Let's see what Chris has to say. He's going to Milwaukee or Miami. That's where Drew's going to end up. Ooh, the Lakers. The Lakers. That's what, as Jason Mack, this is J Mac. Shout out to J Mac, Jason McIntyre. We don't play or hate on SandCity. We congratulate. Okay, so we give props to the folks that I respect and have been doing it and are doing it at a high level, and so that's how we get down. So J Mac had the big lead, which I and then he was on a number of different platforms. He has the Straight Fire pod with Rob G, and he's obviously on the herd. So one of the things Jason Mack, he said that's spicy. So Drew Holiday to the Lakers is spicy. Only reason I'm going to push back on that, Chris, I like it, but you got two ball dominant folks right there. So if it was just LeBron there, then fine. But there's not enough usage for Drew on the Lakers for him to, the ball's got to be in Luka's hands or LeBron's hands at all times. Those are the two, and more so Luka, frankly. More so Luka and LeBron playing off the ball. Right? And then the Lakers staggering. I mean, the two can play together. But again, my issue with the Lakers, Luka Doncic, for however, and mercurial. Okay? Luka walks to the beat of his own. And we are, by the way, we're gonna get to the intro. We're gonna get to the intro. I haven't, but folks, the Celtics gave away a dynastic team, right? To me, this is the equivalent of breaking up Steph and Clay. I said what I said. Okay, now, Drew Holiday, he's a champion. He's a Hall of Famer. People act like Drew Holiday is not an all-star. I'm saying a lot of things. I'm going to come back and say these things over again because we ain't just 10 minutes in. So I'm gonna come back to. But the idea that the Celtics season was somehow in the trash because they lost Jason Tatum, they have 4 all-stars. Derek White is a fringe all-star. He's been right on the cusp of making the all-star team the last 2 years. Drew Holiday is an all-star. Who do you think we're talking about here? He's not just a hard-working point guard that, he is a 5-star talent. Drew Holiday is not just a guy. He is an all-star. He is a champion. He is an Olympic gold medalist. Why do you think Team USA? We need that guy. LeBron James put together his selection. Now, again, this guy got left out. Jaylen Brown should have been on the team. We know this. But LeBron was like, who do we need to win? Who's going to help us win? Not just, Drew Holiday. We need him. They needed Jason Kidd on the Redeem team. Okay, was Jason Kidd at that point as athletic or dynamic as Chris Paul when he was in his prime? No, he wasn't. But Jason Kidd was the starting point guard and the glue. The Celtics are a house of cards. That's what they are without Drew Holiday. House of cards. Okay? Win, it's just tumbling. Tumble to the ground. It's over. And you brought in Derek White, Mr. Brad Stevens. I'm calling, yes, you, Brad Stevens. You. I sing my praises when you do right. When Executive of the Year last year, you had the brain trust. After you didn't, what did he not do? I said it. He didn't bring in the brain trust the year before when the N.B.A. disaster happened. First thing Brad Stevens did after that debacle, getting embarrassed by the Miami Heat without their second best player in Tyler Hero and losing, getting mollywopped in Game 7 at home to a team without their second best player. Pathetic. What did Brad Stevens do? He strengthened the brain trust. Charles Lee, who's down in Charlotte doing the best that he can. Jeff Van Gundy, Daddy Warbucks came and stole him. He stole him because he's valuable. Emil Jefferson, from the Coach K tree. Yes, I know we have Sam Cassell. But you lost 2 senior members of your brain trust, Brad Stevens, and you didn't replace them. That's the issue with the Celtics. Formerly the Celtics. You bring in, it's not Brad Stevens, as smart as you are, you're not everything. Every organization needs, you got multiple head coaches on the staff. Joe Mazzulla was the 4th on the doggone depth chart. And all of a sudden he's in the big chair in 2023 because of the wildness that took place. I'm not excusing anything. N.B.A., you were in the wrong. I don't know what went down. You're wrong. You don't treat people like that. Especially when you don't come from, you're not high society. N.B.A. had to work his way up. You don't work your way up, get into some position of success, and then treat people that are working their way up like they're nothing. And they don't deserve basic dignity. You're wrong. You were wrong. I'm happy for N.B.A. where he's at. Whatever the heck went down, you shouldn't have been involved in that in the first place. But the Celtics lost N.B.A. They lost Will Hardy, who knows his business in Utah, even though Utah doesn't know what the heck they're trying to do. Utah could be winning. They could be competing. They could be in the play-in. They could be playing competitive basketball. Who's more talented, the Utah or LA Clippers? Clippers have good and never going to win the you stat $4. It's not. Is he? You want to talk? normal stuff. You know what? Play going on. You that's your in general. Take. That's the do the do just respect. Who does the duck parade? What watched it? Not the baseball. This. Russ there in. So there's a check. Overall, one sport kid is be affiliated hinterland. It's messing is merging. For me, it's sticking. We're good. He is good. Andrew, jumping. Have anything? Andrew's a true blue Celtics fan, so I know people. It's mi casa su casa. If you disagree, I'm because you know what I'm just bothered. It frustrates me. You know, other people have said this. Okay, right? People act like basketball is not a team sport. People act like having, you know, just good vibes, continuity, all the rest of that stuff. And with Jrue Holiday, you know, there's just so many. He doesn't just bring continuity, camaraderie, consistency, all of, you know, he had the steals against Indiana last year in the conference, Eastern Conference Finals, had the steals against Devin Booker in the finals, makes winning plays. I froze. We're good. Thank you, Chris. Please jump on. Let me know. Okay. But he's all of those things and 5-star level talent. Jrue Holiday is 6'5". He's a big dude. Meaning, if you want to, you know, if it was, and this is the thing about next year, which is just take this. If you know, you guys play kickball and you bounce the kickball and you just kick that thing like 3 streets over. That's how I feel right now. And we're gonna do I kicked the kickball like 5 streets over. The idea that the Celtics season was lost because Tatum was going to be out. And by the way, Tatum is going to be back next season. He's coming back. And we're going to talk about the money for all you money folks. We're going to talk about the money because now this is beyond the money. They could have kept this team together. There were things financially they could have done, yes, to keep the team together. And or just take the freaking tax for one season and then guys restructure their deal, which is what I've been saying. Okay? Which is what I've been saying. Oh, well, you know, the second apron, and it's going to be, people are crying about the second apron. Yeah, but when you win championships, okay, that offsets some, and yes, I don't agree with the second apron, but it's there, so you can do, oh, you know what I mean? The Lakers just sold for $10 billion. You just bought whoever this new ownership group, you know, that's another thing. Okay, the reporting was the new owners were coming in, they bought $6 billion. So you paid $6 billion for this team. And you're looking at some early on issues with the second apron, possibly, allegedly, potentially up to $200 billion. Let's pump the brakes. We're talking about Elon and Bezos money. Million. You just bought the team for $6 billion. Are you going to sell the team for $5 billion? Or are you looking at what the Lakers got for $10 billion and already counting those checks that are coming in the future? New ownership group, which is second to the fact that Wick is still supposed to be in control. Wick Grossbeck is still supposed to be in control. Who said, I'm here to win a championship or die trying. And by the way, he sold the team after he won that championship. But he talked about winning multiple championships. which is a point that I'm going to bring out now. We haven't even gotten to the intro. I'm bringing out my points early. Then I'm going to come back, okay, and buttress these points that I'm making. I'm going to put some buttresses around them, okay, because it's just ridiculous. Makes no sense. Stupid. It's stupid. That's what. Never mind. Just you take. You know what I mean? You know what I feel like? I feel like it's a work of art, and you just threw it on the ground. You had a work of art in a museum. There's people protesting that this is not a good. You go in a museum and you throw paint on like artworks for whatever you're protesting. That's what I feel like just happened. You went in the Boston Museum of Art. You took some and you just threw it on a distinguished painting. Am I calling this team a masterpiece? No. But you just threw all the paint on a distinguished painting for no good reason, as far as I'm concerned. For no good reason. Okay, so let's get in. I'm going to make a couple points on the financial side. Then we're going to do the intro. Then I'm going to come back. People, let me know what you think. Obviously, we're talking. N.B.A. free agency. Johnny Sal, respect. That's my man. I got to get down. I got to see some people on IG. Ton of respect. My local people. Okay. It's summertime. I got to get out. I got to connect with folks. Okay. So let's break down. I told you what you did. As far as I'm concerned, we can, if the Celtics, and again, I will be the first one. We're going to see this episode's going at least an hour. I will eat all the crow that needs to be consumed. If I'm wrong. If Anthony Simons comes and all right, whatever. Because it seems like, there's rumblings now that JB is out, which I wouldn't, JB liked Drew, like they were vibing. It was just Marcus Smart, really good player, hard worker, defensive. He is not a playmaker. Marcus Smart was never a playmaker. He was always a scoring, rugged guard. Back to Oklahoma State, coming to the league, scoring, rugged guard. That's not what the Celtics needed. They needed somebody to put JB and JT in position to be successful. That's what they needed. So bringing in Derek White, who is a comparable, if not better, scorer, but a much better playmaker than Marcus Smart. Right? Brad Stevens, okay? And we're not stockpile. We're gonna give up some of these picks to win now. We're gonna come off of some of these picks, give them some athletes to win now. So the Celtics did that. Okay, we're on the verge of the finals. For Miami came in and knocked them out, but you had a guy that was a two-way player, could score, but was a team guy and a playmaker. Then you went because of the Dame trade. What did Brad Stevens say? You just don't think you can get a guy like that. That's what Brad said. Right. That was a year and change ago, folks. Not even 2 full years ago. That was what we were told. You just don't think you can get a guy like that. So when he comes onto the market, and this is why Drew might not end up in Miami for the second time, just because maybe Pat Riley and Cronin maybe those fences have been mended. Drew's not staying in Portland. He's not staying there. He's a champion. So he's going to go and be a kingmaker somewhere. I wouldn't put Milwaukee out of the realm of possibility if Giannis wants to stay there. If Giannis is determined, because the team isn't winning as constructed. Okay. Drew played with Rondo in New Orleans. The last time New Orleans was relevant. When they had Rondo, they had Drew, they had AD, they had Boogie. A healthy Boogie. All right. And they were making some noise for that short window. Then Rondo got up out of there, went to the Lakers, and Boogie wanted to, and then he got injured. So Drew can play with another guard. He's 6'5", so he can, they can share the backcourt responsibilities. Drew can play with anybody. He's just a team first guy. Okay? And he would have ended up in Miami had, there not been the feud over Dame Lillard. So that's the only reason that Boston was allowed to get Drew in the first place. And he wanted to be here. He was jilted. Milwaukee didn't show him no love. Jaylen Brown, good question. I'm a big JB fan. Who would be his player comp? Let me think. Two-way. It'd have to be a two-way guard. Jaylen Brown reminds me of a bigger Joe Dumars. He's bigger than Joe Dumars, right? But somebody, JB can score. I think that you know, he's a scorer. I don't think he's as pure of a scorer as Tatum. Tatum is Jay Brown is a better defender. Tatum is a better scorer, but they both can do the opposite well. Jason Tatum has worked hard on his game. He's gotten stronger and he's committed himself to defense. Is he a lockdown defender? No. Is he I think Jaylen Brown is just naturally a better defender. But JT has worked on that defense. I think Jaylen Brown could be an all-league defender, right? Because there's talk right now, there's stuff that's going on in the ether about JB possibly going to H-Town. There's talk that there's things in H-Town really going for it. You keep Amen Thompson, maybe they got to come off of Jabari Smith, right? Because they're not trading Amen. But if I'm Houston, you got KD, you got JB and N.B.A. vibe, right? N.B.A. N.B.A. was wrong, but beyond, N.B.A. came in, right? Because N.B.A. could have got the head coaching job with Brooklyn, right? But you have to be like Kyrie's, the old Kyrie. Never mind. Shout out to Kyrie for getting his money. We're going to talk about Kyrie getting his money and being in Dallas. The fact that Kyrie got his money, that for my New York Knicks, you want to talk about. I'm going to get the intro at like the 35-minute mark. New York Knicks are now talking about assistant coaches for the doggone Minnesota Timberwolves to replace Tom Thibodeau. You want to talk about feast or famine? You want to talk about rounders? Okay. What did that man say? If you're too careful, your whole life will be a grind. Shout out to rounders. You want to talk about pushing your chips into the middle and having Teddy KGB just gobble up all your doggone chips? My New York Knicks. Unheralded assistant coach for the Minnesota Timberwolves is the best you can do, and you run my man Tom Thibodeau out of town for this nonsense. What's the connection point? I don't think Kyrie Irving signs that extension if J Kidd is not there. So I think J Kidd, that's just off the table now. I thought, Jaden, he didn't like what that went down with Luka. The NBA just gifted them Cooper Flag. Jason Kidd is a coach. He just loves the game. And so that whole, now you built Luka up after like Rick Carlisle passed him up. Like really Rick Carlisle built Luka up, right? And we know Rick Carlisle knows his business, and he knew his business before, and Mark Cuban didn't want him to leave in the first place. But Rick decided to say, listen, he needs a new voice. I'm going back to the motherland in Indiana, and he done brought prosperity back to the motherland. J Kidd come in. J Kidd brought prosperity to Dallas. It was good. And then people, billionaires, nobody can tell them no, so they just going to throw a tantrum and just destroy stuff. They're just going to destroy stuff. Okay, and if I'm, Luka, he's happy. The fan base was ready to riot, and SandCity came in late that night. Again, it's summertime. It's summertime, so SandCity is going down, folks. Jump in, let me know how you feel. But we're going around, but people get in. We're gonna get back to JB and his player. I said Joe Dumars. I'll try to think of just he's a bigger. You could also Jalen is not as. But Klay Thompson, and it's not a one-to-one comparison. So I'm not comparing him to one of the greatest shooting guards of all time. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying Klay Thompson's a bigger, physical off guard that can defend. So that is where Jaylen Brown, his off, he can shoot, he can score. And by the way, before the Celtics destroyed a dynastic team. Okay, and we're gonna get this stuff on. This is the equivalent of if the 80s Celtics traded Dennis Johnson. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. I made this group. You had JB, JT, then you had Derek White, and you had Drew. The Celtics dynastic team of the 80s. 81 champion. 84 champion. 86 champion. 85, 87 N.B.A. finals. Got knocked out by the Sixers in 82. Could have went to the Sixers, to the finals in 82 to match up against the Lakers then. Excuse me. Right? But that team, we know Bird, Parrish, but they had DJ and Danny Ainge in the backcourt. Okay? It was strength upon strength upon strength in their starting lineup. And you talk to Larry Bird, who is the teammate, Dennis Johnson. Okay? DJ, who was a champion in Seattle before coming to Boston, took a lesser role. Sound familiar? And then helped those Celtics teams win more championships. That's how you got rid of with this phony baloney ridiculousness about the second apron, which we're going to talk about. Because I told you, people today, right now, me, and I ain't no daddy, will pay $30 or whatever the cost is to get me a 1984 Celtics shirt, to go to a Celtics game. You're still making money off that championship. Been 40 years. And you want to talk to me about a second apron? You win a championship, the royalties just keep coming in over and over and over and over again. Put out some 84 Celtics stuff. The fan base will go bananas today when you win championships. Talk to me about the doggone luxury tax in the second apron. Back to JB, right? Give me, right? Give me a Joe Dumars. I think that's, Joe Dumars was JB Finals MVP before the people lost their minds last year. Joe Dumars was Finals MVP. I believe it was in 90. I think Isaiah got it in 89 and Joe Dumars got it in 90 or vice versa, right? But just that, you know what I mean? He's just going to, he going to give you a problem, You ain't getting no easy buckets tonight. But and then at the same time, JB can, and with the Jaylen Brown, yes, he can score. He's explosive and all that stuff. But Jaylen Brown with his physicality, and by the way, Drew Holiday with his physicality, you could run those cross matchups where you can post those guys up against smaller or even whoever's defending them, right? Okay, we're going to talk about the money in a second, but just stupid. I'm coming in with a lot. This is hot take, whatever. You can say this is how I feel. These are my takes. Am I wishing bad on anybody? If Brad Stevens is somehow, the boy genius in it, you know what I mean? And the analytics people said, and that if you square the root of the, okay, right, for all of your number crunchers out there, okay, when you have well enough, you leave it alone. Okay, you're the number crunchers out there that want to take people out of the game when they have a perfect game in the seventh inning. Well, he just pitched his 137th pitch, and the numbers say that on the 138th pitch, yeah, he's worth Chisholm, supposed to be a Boston guy, worth $3.2 billion, paid $6 billion for the team. It's gonna, the valuation is gonna keep going up. That's when you're gonna get all your money back and then some. This is just it's reminding me of Dallas. And we were told that the reporting was that Wick was gonna be hands-on for a couple more years. Okay, I'm not sure why. And again, in terms of the money, here's beyond or whatever, listen. First of all, if you're so concerned about the doggone second apron, and it's this looming, it's almost like Jaws. This is the whatever anniversary of Jaws. People are going crazy here on the Cape and Islands and all this stuff. And you know what I mean? So you're just so concerned about Jaws in the water. Mr. Brad Stevens, I'm calling you out. Yes, you. Executive of the Year a minute ago. And now it seems like the empire is collapsing. Letting coaches go, getting headhunted, so the staff just gets, I can't think of the word, ransacked. And now you're just blowing the team up. You let the coaching staff get ransacked, and now the team is getting ransacked in just 1 year after you won a championship. So yes, back to you, Mr. Brad Stevens. I'm talking to you. If the concern going forward was about the second apron, why not sign Drew Holiday to a 2-year deal? Because let's remember, When LeBron James took his talent back to Cleveland after being in Miami 2014, took his talent back to Cleveland in 2015 to bring them to the NBA Finals against the Golden State Warriors. What did he do in those Cleveland? He only signed 2-year deals, or essentially 1-year deal with a player option, so he can continue to come back into free agency. Did he lose any money by doing that? Did he not get all of his money by doing that? Fortunately, no injuries. He takes care of his body, yada, yada, yada. He's a billionaire. He's gotten all his money, his whatever. But he signed those shorter contracts to come back to say to Dan Gilbert and everybody else, you're not going to have the power over me. The inverse is true here. Jrue Holiday wants to stay in these places. So if we're talking about the doggone second, why? You just signed him. Sign a shorter contract at that money. Okay, Chris, you might have something on this. Right? Sign a shorter contract so that you can now. Did Jalen Brunson not negotiate with the Knicks to keep the team together? Are players not aware? Did we talk about, did we give the example of the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes? People were, killing Patrick Mahomes when he signed his 10-year, $500 million, and he didn't get, how many Super Bowls have they been to and won since then? We don't talk about, people aren't talking about, oh, Patrick Mahomes, after they won that Super Bowl and he signed a deal and it gives the team money, he can come back and he should have got all his money and don't give it. How many Super Bowls has he won? What's the money and the royalties that he's getting off of any Super Bowls that he's going to continue to win? They got the home field advantage. Did they not knock the Baltimore Ravens up out of there? They gave up Tyreek Hill. Did they skip a beat? Yeah. So all this second apron stuff, sign the shorter deal. You need him to win the championships. Jrue, like Jalen Brunson, would have worked with the team. This whole second apron boogeyman. Chris thinks no. Let me know why. Appreciate the people on IG. A couple people on Twitter. Streams are good. It's coming through. It's 40 minutes in. We are still going to do my intro. And we're going to do the outro as well. So, Jrue, if, you go to the team, Boston, we're bringing you in. If you'd have just sat him down and said, listen, this is how we're structuring it. We want you here in Boston. He wanted to be in Boston. They just won a championship. But the second apron is going to be this when we come out of 2025. So can we sign this 2-year deal? You get all your money. And then for the 2025 deal, right, we're going to need you to work with us. And he would have said, fine. Because that's the type of person he is anyway. You act like it would have been pulling teeth. Like he would have held out. Was it a war with the Kansas? And I've used it, and I'm going to use it again. Then we're going to get to the freaking intro. Did the Kansas City Chiefs have to lock Patrick Mahomes up for him to sign that team-friendly contract? Was that like a big deal? People have forgot that he even did that in the first place because they've just been winning. Winning this year when it was supposed to be Baltimore's year. It's supposed to be the Buffalo Bills' year. Those two had to knock one of each other because they couldn't get the top seed. That's right. Kansas City 15-1 needed that top seed to avoid that divisional round, 15-round bout, to get the home field advantage and to make it back to another Super Bowl before my Eagles handle business. So again, for the second apron folks, okay, that's another way beyond just taking the hit for 1 year that it could have been avoided. I disagree vehemently on basic principle that this team had to be blown up because of the second apron, whatever. I disagree. All right. And with that out of the conversation, either short-term pain or just getting ahead of it in the beginning to get rid of this. You keep this, there's this, all of a sudden, because, and again, Joe Mazzulla, again, You lost to the Knicks because Tom Thibodeau is a better coach than Joe Mazzulla. He's been a better coach. That's right. I said what I said. The Knicks naysayers out there, okay, the people, Knicks fans, you have right not to like Tibbs, okay? But is the grass greener? Is the grass greener? It's not. Jason Kidd or bust. You didn't get Jason Kidd. That means it's bust. Okay? You're going nowhere. Well, no, check that. You have a championship team with that's rudderless, is what's going on in New York. And the Celtics just blew it up. They just blew it up. So, by the way, before we get to the intro, which I've been talking about, Chris, I don't know what that note means. I appreciate, I'm not sure about the, I'm just, the new owner is supposed to be a Boston, you know what I mean? I'm just confused. I'm confused because Wick is supposed to have his hands on this, and Wick is the one that said that this team, Wick is go back, let's check this is a 4-year window. You signed Drew for 4 years because we see a 4-year window. And you cut and run after year 2. And what are we doing? What are you doing? What is anybody doing? And if it was a 4-year, which it should have been anyway, it should have been a 4-year window. And there was this second apron paranoia, just sign the 2-year deal. Talk with him. There's already a model for that. LeBron signed short contracts because he eventually, yes, left Cleveland after he brought a championship. And then came back and then, okay, whatever. I don't know when his first year with the Lakers. I think it was 2019. So he stayed 2 years after the 2016 championship. I'll double check that. Horford. Last I checked, he's getting $10 million to just, Cedric Maxwell was over. Cedric was was in rare form over on Nightcap. Shout out to TJ Husmanjada, who's doing a good job on Nightcap. But yeah, Al's making like $10 million or whatever. I'll get the numbers, but he's on the team. I don't know if they're going to keep him now just because they're blowing everything up. Al was he come in, when Porzingis obviously is going to be hurt, he can come in, play his 10, 15 minutes, a big who's a spacer. But I don't know if Al's going to be back. There's really no point of having him back if you blew up the team that he, so I don't think Al, and the 10, if you're so concerned about money, 10, Al's going to have to sign like a minimum contract. Since everyone, since we're running, second apron is like, like the Martians coming in, Dr. Strangelove. Just wild. All right. 44 minutes. You know what this is. I can't welcome you in. Hey! SandCity to the what? Business, folks! We're talking free agency. We're talking well enough alone. Draft coming up. Flag mania. Hey! Okay, couldn't stop it in time. So our intro, 45 minutes. I just... So much for the Celtics. Okay? Didn't need to be this way. It just didn't. You bring this team back, or the core four need the four. The 1, 2, 3, your White, Holiday, JB, JT. Crispy P, I got love for you. We want Crispy P to be back. If salaries had to be cut, at long last. OKC Parade, I didn't catch that. Disappointing. I know it's a smaller market, but you would have thought folks, come on out. You won a championship. But then at the same time, David, the franchise is working. It's going to continue to work. But bottom line, like, how many diehard basketball fans do you have in Oklahoma? It's obviously, you're talking about Sooner country. You're talking about football country, right? So that, I think, factors in as people, they like basketball, but it's not. It's the Midwest, or however the bread basket, whatever you want to call it. Rural America, but it's not Indiana rural America. It's still primetime football country. But still, people, championship to championship, go out, get the trailers, and you know what I mean. However you celebrate in Oklahoma City, in Oklahoma, you got to come out. The championship is it's a once in a lifetime type deal. Maybe do a part. Make sure if they win another championship, bring some of the Sooners football. Bring Baker Mayfield's or Kyler. Bring the Baker Mayfields or Kyler Murray's. Include them, and I think the ginormous crowds will follow suit. I think I've 45, almost 50 minutes on the Celtics. I got some more haymakers for them. Okay, but no. For these moves, this narrative, this explaining, just no. It's stupid. I'm using some coarse language. Run it back. Run it back. Stupid. Okay? Like what Sonny told Cologino in A Bronx Tale. Stupid. When you're hanging out with that certain element, he didn't mince words. That's how I feel about this. Okay? The second apron stuff could have been gotten around in the beginning with a shorter contract, or you bite the doggone bullet, win another championship, and cash it up to the game. Right? Lacob talked about, and Cuban talked, all these owners talk about it. Some years you don't make money. Okay? And you make your money when you sell it. But you're breaking it. So what? You're winning championships. You're going to get it on the back end. Obviously, tremendous amount about business. Okay? You know that doggone Amazon was losing money. Does anybody remember that? Amazon was losing money when Jeff Bezos was this gullible, friendly nerd, with this selling books in this online space, and he was kind of, Jeff Bezos got a little Kaiser Soze in him. People just, books online, that's never going to amount to anything. His mom told him not to leave his Wall Street job. He should do that as a hobby at night. Okay? Worth over $200 billion now. And remembers every single slight. Somebody like that, every single slight, every single time somebody brushed him off, laughed at him. Okay? Thought him dim-witted, even though he's incredible. He remembers all that stuff. Okay? So that $200 billion is going to be $300. You don't forget. Right? Okay? So, what was the Kaiser Soze? Yeah, Joe, and Lacob was with Wick. Lacob was with Wick when Celtics. I say we. I'm a Knicks guy. Tom Thibodeau's my coach. But yeah, Joe Lacob and Wick won it in 2008 together, and then Lacob went out to Golden State. What's the first thing he did? Again, because he done won, not just one. Right, Wick, you've won one, and then you sold the team. You got but Lacob got 3, 4, whatever he's got. 2015, 2017, 2021. You got 3 or 4. First thing that Joe Lacob did when he went out there, hired Jerry West as a special consultant. Rule number uno, never let no one know how much dough you hold, because the cheddar breed jealousy, especially if that, what? First thing he did was hire Jerry West as a special consultant, and then Jerry went to work. This kid from Washington State, yeah, yeah, I see something there. And by the way, the Golden State teams, when Jerry West got there was this kid, Steph Curry, and he's a good kid, but we don't really know, is he tough? Can he make it in the league? He has these ankle injuries, and it was a guy that they had who was a holdover from the Don Nelson. What's going on? Freeze your mind. Welcome to SandCity Sports. Mikasa Sukasa. Welcome. Good evening. Talking about free agency, the Celtics losing their mind, but we're making a connection. Joe Lacob brings in Jerry West, special consultant, first move. Drafts Klay Thompson out of Washington State. By the way, Monte Ellis, what did he say? Me and this kid, Steph Curry, we can't play together. No, we can't play. Nah, Jerry West, is that all really? Okay, Monte, we wish you well. We wish you well. All the best in your future endeavors. Okay? They had David Lee in those days. Kept him around. Hard worker, blue collar, out of Florida. Okay? Draft Harrison Barnes. Draft Draymond Green. Huh? Starting to become clear? And then see what Iguodala was out there doing with AI. And we need him too. Come. All right, and you have by the time we get to 2015, building it up. Right? You have your dynasty. And then the Kevin Durant thing took place, and then it was just ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. Can't see here. Yeah, I see folks in the chat. Very good. Chat's got to scroll down to the bottom. There we go. Can't see the last. Yep. Andrew Bogut, another one. Yep. Former number one overall pick. Yeah. So back to Joe Lacob, who's talked about, it's hurt. It hurts. But Joe Lacob also gave Jimmy Butler $50 million. And we over here in Boston talking about a second apron and getting rid of champions. Meanwhile, Joe Lacob gave Jimmy Butler $50 million to remain competitive. This is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm not coming off of this. Ridiculous. All right, and folks jump in. Andrew Bogut, Iggy, Chris, can we get a Sean Livingston? Can we get some Sean Livingston? Right? Can we get some Leonardo Barboza? With Phoenix, right? Just bringing in these guys, these high energy guys, good character, team first guys. Yeah. And we have to go on the second apron and pay some money, but we do that, and win these championships. And we take the hit up front with the luxury tax, but you kidding me? If you're, these championships, it just keeps rolling itself over. You have a champions night, people will pay for those things. That means something. The 86 Celtics team, arguably the greatest basketball team of all time. Bill Walton, 6-man. Okay? Just dominant. Larry Bird's third straight MVP. That means something in 2025, today. You know what this is, frankly? You know what the Celtics are doing? This is some selling Babe Ruth to pay for a damn opera. That's what this is. Let's get the Babe on the screen. You've been listening to me for this whole episode. That's what this is. That's the level. Am I calling Drew Holiday Babe Ruth? Stop it. It's not what I'm saying. But you giving up, okay, something that's definite. That's for sure. That's for sure. You're giving that up. I need a bigger. No. We got to get Babe on the screen. That's what this is the equivalent of. And people are, oh, he's comparing. He's comparing. No, I'm not comparing no Drew Holiday to Babe Ruth. I'm saying you looked at short-term financial pressures and allowed that. There you go. Let's get the Babe on the screen. You let short-term financial pressures take away long-term sustained winning. That's what you did. Trading away Drew Holiday. Makes no sense to me. Festus Ezeli, it's not that bad. No, I'm not saying Babe Ruth. I'm not calling it. You're gonna tell me that this Celtics team next year, with some better coaches, couldn't win an NBA championship? You're gonna tell me if the Celtics didn't shoot 85 threes, right, against the Knicks, and let the Knicks come back from 2 straight 20-point deficits, and Tatum doesn't go down, that they can't beat the Indiana Pacers? You're gonna tell me that this Celtics team, as constituted, with a little bit more leadership, could not have beat the Oklahoma City Thunder this year? Oklahoma City Thunder team that struggled with the Indiana Pacers. Celtics, now, again, my New York Knicks, I was happy. Did I want to see Tatum go down? Obviously not. But this Celtics team is arguably the best team in the NBA right now. Stop taking 85 threes. So, yeah, Chris, to your point, again, you're breaking up a championship team that's together. That's another important thing. Because why did the Lakers teams have to be broken up? Because Shaq and Kobe couldn't be in the same room together. The Bulls, Michael Jordan and Jerry Krause could not be in the same stadium together. Where's the drama on this team? Talk about the Red Sox or baseball, 25 guys, 25 caps. Where's the drama? Because you have highly skilled, high character guys, led by Drew Holiday. But you want to talk to me about a second apron. You don't want to pay some upfront costs. Second scoring option is Holiday. JB, Drew, and Derek White gets buckets. If you had to trade Porzingis, right? Celtics could have run it through JB and Drew Holiday's. You act like Drew Holiday can't average 20 and 10. What happened to Steph Curry when Kevin Durant left Golden State, folks? Huh? What did we see from Steph Curry when he finally was able to get more usage? And you're going to tell me the Celtics, because they lost one of their 4 All-Stars, and yes, I'm putting Derek White in the All-Star category. You're going to tell me because they lost one of their 4 All-Stars that they couldn't hold their own in the doggone Eastern Conference? Boulder Dash. Second option, Drew. Yeah. Who was the second option on the Milwaukee Bucks when Chris Middleton was out all those times? And by the way, when Giannis was out, when they went up against the Hawks in the conference finals, how'd they get buckets? Who was getting buckets? Drew was getting buckets. Go ahead and check out Drew Holiday when he was with the 76ers. Okay? Drew is a willing passer. He's going to get guys involved. And by the way, Peyton Pritchard, was he not 6th man of the year? filling it up off the bench. Did Derek White not average 14 plus for the Spurs? Right? You act like JB, Drew, and Derek White. And whoever, and Peyton Pritchard couldn't, just bring a big, whoever, a big. If Crispy P had to go, you're going to get another serviceable big to eat glass, defend, and do whatever. But the idea, all right, what do they say? You mess around. Shout out to Azzy Fudd, UConn national champ. You fud around, you're going to find out. And again, this whole talk about Drew Holiday is 36. So the Rockets have 1 year to win a championship, and then it's over for them. Because last I checked, Kevin Durant was 37. So this N.B.A, this physical N.B.A players you can't touch anybody. You can't touch anybody in this modern N.B.A. So the idea, LeBron is 40 and all NBA first team. Stop. Act like you're playing in the Pritchard is streaky, fine. Shout out to Peyton Pritchard. He comes down to the Cape. His wife, his family is down here. Very generous. Patronizes the businesses, goes to the gyms. Good dude. Chris, you would have had to, the others would have had to take less. Right? But again, in 2008, that Celtics team, we remember? James Posey, come on down. Sam Cassell, come on down. Shaquille, right? Shaquille came later after 08. He was there late, for the 2010 run. But once you're a championship team, you can go get guys at a bargain rates that want to compete for championships. To fill in, to hold the line until Jason Tatum gets back. So, 10 toes down, you had enough scoring without Jason Tatum to hold the line until Tatum got back. And the work that needed to be done, because they had the same, the bench was the same for the championship. Their bench, I'm happy Peyton Pritchard won 6-man. I would like them to have, like a dog off the, who am I talking about? Not somebody, like a fill it up guy, a 6 starter to come in and just cook. Peyton kind of did that, but that's, that he was playing above, he did more. But a Jamal Crawford type. Yeah. It's a weird year for the Celtics because you got outmaneuvered by my Knicks, which was coming because Joe Mazzulla, you didn't have the strategic edge. Period. And that's also, a little bit, I think Brad Stevens, who Brad Stevens is a very smart guy. He's, but a very smart guy realized just a year ago that he needed a lot of help, and he put that help in the organization. And you lost the help, and it wasn't replaced, and it came back to bite you, and it was biting you all season. I like Quaida. I like Tillman. Glass eaters, physical presence, right? Yeah. Now, it's different because Crispy P, right, gives you the spacing as well as the rim protection. So when you bring, but at the same time, did the Memphis Grizzlies not start Zach Edey at center, who I had no problem with? Just a big physical, and yeah, you gotta. He's not gonna shoot any threes, and he's but you also have to defend him. So Quaida, you want to talk about just a lob, monster, but also just to get him the ball. those drive, just drive, dish it off to him, and him just attack it. And he's a good free throw shooter. Tillman a little bit less offensively than Quader, but Tillman just a big body to just go out there, set monster screens, rebound, and just be physical. The Celtics could have won that way because with Quader and Tillman, like the other thing is that in the battles that the Celtics had against the Cavaliers, who need to keep their team together as well. So when the Cavs went with their big lineup with with Mobley and so you got Quader, Tillman. Even though I think that JT could guard Mobley, and it's not asking too much of him, because neither one of those guys are like physical, like bowl you over bigs. But Quader and Tillman could make things difficult. JD Davidson, I like him. You know what I mean? But again, Chris, you don't rely on JD Davidson. The Walsh, those are guys that remind me of Aaron Nesmith. They'll be here. They'll develop. They may be good reserves here. They may be packaged in deals. They're not winning you championships. I don't think that you were intimating that they were going to win you championships. But you don't. Those are nice reserve players that can work their way in, i.e. Nesmith, into a starting like role. And like they wouldn't have started on the Celtics because they got this before the lunacy, right? Because it was going to be the Fantastic Four for the Celtics, and then probably Quader. If you give up Crispy P, you bring Quader in, homegrown, just great. Rim protector, lob threat, glass eater, good free throw percentage. You lose the 3-point shooting, but as constituted, you already have 4 shooters. You don't have to have 5 shooters. You have 4 shooters. You don't have to have 5. Yeah. Well, they would have before people lost their mind. The Crispy P thing, I can accept. The Drew is just offensive. It's offensive to me. It's offensive to me. Celtics brought in Drew Holiday, who was the X factor on their team to make them, right? Without Drew Holiday, they could have won a championship. With Drew Holiday, they were last year and this year the favorites to win the championship. Drafted Bane, okay. Yeah, Brad Stevens, good eye for talent, brings these guys in, develops, he develops a lot of the talent and then packages them for other players. This whole Peyton Pritchard thing. Let's remember that Pritchard was. We'll talk about Mr. Simons in a second. Pritchard wanted out. The year before when the Celtics brought in Brogdon, and they already had they brought in Brogdon. They had Derek White. Like Pritchard was not happy on that 2023 team, just because he wasn't getting minutes. So he wanted to be traded, frankly. And then something, then they got rid of Brogdon. They brought in Holiday, and so some more minutes opened up, and it worked out for him. So, I think that's what happens with the Celtics draft well, they develop well, but then guys have, you're going to be a reserve, period, until further notice, because we're trying to win championships here. So let's not get too big for your britches. I said what I said. Don't get too big for your britches. How's that working out for like the reserves for OKC? Are they too big for their britches, or are they happy to win a championship? Are they complaining because Dort or Jalen Williams or Holmgren or these guys or I no, they're playing their role and they're winning championships. All right, the reason I'm not fine with the trade, and Simmons is a nice player, okay? But you don't know how it's going to mix. You don't know how. On paper, in 2K, it's fine. Oh, because Drew Holiday was an 87 and Simmons is an 83 or 85, and so, it's fine. In reality, you don't know the mixture, okay? And you're probably going to have to, because I know Jaylen Brown is not happy. I know he's not happy. So you have to see how Simons, is going to, and he's an unrestricted free agent after this next year. Who knows if he wants to stay? So, right? So he could leave. It could not work, or it could be it could be just what you have now. But you don't know, and you're giving up a sure thing for a question mark. Also, Simons, like he likes to get buckets. Well, guess what? JB, whoever. JT and JB eat first. You seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon? Right? Good movie when the Jade Fox took out the father in that battle scene. No, before that, I'm getting ahead of myself. But when the inspector was looking for the Jade Fox, we got to get some Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon on the screen. We're going to do that. When the inspector was looking for the Jade Fox and he came to the house where the other person was looking for him, and he went to he put his chopsticks in the bowl, he said, Dad eats first. Don't put your chopstick in this bowl. Dad eat first. And then, he was there for the family after, you know what I mean? So shout out to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. We got some Crouching Tigers and Hidden Dragons in Boston. That's what we got. They out there right now. They out there. But back to your point about Simons. Okay? Theoretically, it could work, but it could not work. And the reason for me, I'm not positive. And again, I think it's just blown up. But let's just say you replace Drew and you bring in Simons. Okay? He want to get buckets. He's a bucket getter. He's not a two-way player. I don't know if Portland has one two-way player. They all seem to want to do the same thing. There's no Amen Thompson for the Portland Trailblazers. Amen on his way to being an all-star, doing it the right way. What does my team need me to do? And I'm going to shine from that to do everything else. What did Kevin Love say? Or David Lee? I got to get 10 rebounds. That's how I need to stay on. How can I stay on the floor? 10 rebounds? That's what I'm going to do. Kevin Love, I got to get 10 rebounds first. And then everything else can come from my competency. It grows from there. The guys in Portland want to do everything. They just want to score. Scoot wants to score. Sharp wants to score. Simons, So Simons, he's coming in. He's a bucket getter. Well, JT and JB, they eating first and second. And Derek White can get buckets too. So if you're not getting buckets, what are you doing? People act like Drew Holiday is not a bucket getter. Because, see, this is like a nice guys finish last. That's what this is. You done people out here mistaking Drew's kindness for weakness. You're going to find out. You're going to find out. Because he's going to a contender. And he keeps receipts. Now he's old because he's 36. You can play till you're 50 in this N.B.A. That's an overstatement. But you know what I'm saying. Can't touch anybody. You only play 65 games in a regular season. You got 15 trainers, nutritionists. LeBron can play till he's 45. Probably will. Wants to play with his kids. No end in sight for him. And now Drew is old at 36. Okay. Point taken, Chris. Fifth ranked defense after the All-Star break. Point taken. I'll back off that point. Good stats. Let's go ahead. Get it for the people. You've been looking at Babe for a grip. No end in sight. SandCity Sports, summer editions. Join in. I got to check my socials. I just been out of control. I appreciate people. Let me check the socials real quick. Let's take a look at Portland, who I consider a dumpster fire. Three games out of the play-in. Utah Jazz tanking for Cooper. You get what you deserve. You get what you deserve. Okay, Facebook. All right, a little quiet on the IG. I appreciate folks, my people, my locals. Andrew, we got some hard workers on IG that checked in. Johnny Sal, Andrew, sports fans, hard workers. Respect, checking in. Twitter, a couple people on Twitter. Appreciate you. A lot of folks talking, the Boston folks are talking. And, I'll go back. We got a lot of, I'm up in arms. I'm staying up in arms. No analytics is going to convince me otherwise. All right. So yeah. Okay. Then Portland, fifth ranked defense after the All-Star break. Okay. But you're 3 games out of the play-in. You're 3 games out of the play-in with young Lions. Let's take a look at their stats. Okay. Just a hodgepodge roster. The young Lions here, Shaden. Okay. Scoot only starting 10 games. Got some buyer's remorse there. Clinnigan only playing 20 minutes a game in his rookie year. You drafted this guy 3rd overall. I get it. It's his rookie year. But, 8 rebounds. I like it. 6 points. I don't like it. Okay. I look at this roster. I see these 3 high draft picks in Sharp, Scoot, and Clinnigan. Okay, Shaden, all right, respect. I like what I'm seeing. 18 a game. That's what I'm talking about. Scoot, it's not just that he only averaged, but it's that, there's buyer remorse in that you only start 10 games in year 2. A little bit of Ace Bailey. We'll talk about Ace Bailey. I like Ayton. Okay. 40 games, 40 started, averaging 14 and 10. Getting the best out of Ayton. I like it. I dig it. There's your defense that you're talking about. Danny averaging 17. So, I see balance here. I like some of, the guys they got in their roster. I'm a Clinnigan guy out of UConn. Thibault, 3 and D, Kamara, just everything, hustle players. Grant is going to get it. They're sharing the ball. But Chris, I ask, with all of this good thing, all these good things going on, why the heck didn't they make the play-in tournament? Why the heck is a Sacramento that traded a good, a coach and blew up the team? How is Sacramento making the play-in over you? Dallas doing everything they can to lose. Memphis firing their coach, don't know, like San Antonio, which is San Antonio is going to be a top 5 seed next year. Speaking of which, Celtics want to blow up their dynasty. San Antonio is building a dynasty because they're keeping Dylan Harper. You have De'Aaron Fox. Those 2 can play together. Castle Rookie of the Year. Wembanyama Unicorn. So 3 of your 4 are young on rookie contracts. So this second April stupidity, you can And then you have your leader in De'Aaron Fox. You also have Chris Paul there. The Spurs are going to be top 4 team in the West. I really want to say top 2. But I'll say top 4 to give myself some. But the Spurs are here. They're here. So things are changing. Back to Portland, or all those things, and you don't make the I can't rock with it. I can't get down with it. You got guys that are buying in, guys that are being unselfish, and you can't make the playoffs or the play in, excuse me. But the Clippers, that's a first-rate organization. Denver, and again back to Boston being does Denver push Oklahoma City to 7 games if they get rid of Aaron Gordon? Does Denver push Oklahoma City to 7 games if they get rid of Michael Porter Jr. because of the second apron? Yeah. Well, not Dallas. Dallas is not going to be top 5, in my view. San Antonio, Houston, yes. Dallas, no. It's going to take Dallas some time. I am they could be a top, See, I'm just not, this, what am I trying to say? Cooper for all, it's going to take, Cooper will ball, and Jason Kidd's going to put him in position to be successful. But he's still young. And coming over, let's talk a little bit, we'll make the connecting point with Cooper, and he's good. I'm going to back off the Larry Bird comparisons. I'm backing off the Kevin Durant comparisons. The question that I have, and then I'll answer, and then I'm interested in what people think. Is Cooper Flagg right now as good as Grant Hill out of Duke? Is Cooper Flagg right now as good as Grant Hill coming out of Duke? And for me, it's absolutely not. Okay? And so what Cooper Flagg could be, maybe, right? Maybe something like a Grant Hill. I will grant you that. Use that word twice. Could he had better word choice there. But Grant Hill was in Durham for 4 years before he took the N.B.A. by storm. Grant Hill was, right? He did the 4 years. Michael Jordan did the 3 years. Those things make a difference. Tim Duncan, 4 years. And then come in and light up the NBA. Like, So Cooper, could, would, maybe, might. It's going to take him time. He's not coming into, he's not coming in all-star grade. He's got to learn the ropes. So Dallas, I'm glad that Kyrie is brought in, but it's just different. Because Kyrie was sharing the load with Luka, he's on the, he's off the ball, and now it's just more for him to do on the ball. And you got Anthony Davis there, and but Anthony Davis is not going to be healthy. So Dallas is taking a step back. They're going to have to build it up. Houston is ready. Houston is ready now. Okay? N.B.A, I think you need to play less through Sengun. Obviously, Durant's going to be, the straw. Amen can do more. Reed Shepherd is coming. Reed Shepherd's an N.B.A point guard, dynamo. So let's talk about Van Fleet. I need to see Reed this year. I need Reed starting. Hold on. What do we got? We got Durant, Sengun. No, Reed's gonna be 6-man because it's Van Fleet, Thompson, Durant, Parker, and Sangoon. But we need to see a lot of Reed Shepherd. Okay, because he's right. So you got your young bulls, a year of experience, and then you have the leader in Kevin Durant, and then really the leader in Ime Udoka. But now you just have somebody that can just go out there and help them. Yes, the Lakers will make the playoffs. Both those teams will make the playoffs next year. Lakers and the Clippers. The Clippers, because they're two together, not two. Like they're not going to, right? Let's take a look. The Clippers are going to show up all 82 games and make the playoffs. Let's see. Denver, we'll see. I think Denver takes a step back. Frankly, but not out of the picture, because this is Denver gave Oklahoma City their best talent, their greatest challenge. After they fired Mike Malone, so if Denver can just stay together, let me preface that. They're still going to be in the conversation. Minnesota, you keep getting to the Western Conference Finals and getting embarrassed. Golden State, no. Memphis is blowing it up. Sacramento Kings are a dumpster fire. Dallas, it's going to take them time. I have, they can make the play-in. Phoenix is a dumpster fire. Portland doesn't know who they are. They've been the same way, and it hasn't worked. San Antonio is climbing the leaderboard. So San Antonio is going to be in the top 6, and we can take Minnesota, put them in the play-in. Hold on. No. See, no. I'm conflicted. Minnesota or the Lakers are in the play-in, and the Spurs will replace them. Minnesota, I need to communicate a little bit better. The rhetoric matters, and I'm stuttering. I don't care if I've been talking for an hour and a half. It's ridiculous. This is what I do. SandCity, this is the passion project. Jump in, join in. It is what it is. San Antonio is replacing, because the Clippers are going to be consistent, and they're just going to be consistent. They're just not going anywhere. They're not as talented as Minnesota, but they're going to be more consistent than Minnesota. I don't know what to make of Minnesota. They have the pieces. They keep getting embarrassed in money time. Is Golden State making the playoffs? They're making the play-in, and we'll see if they can work their way into the playoffs. They're a play-in team because Steph Curry has pride. They're a proud organization. So they're not going to do what the Jazz did. They're not going to do what the Pelicans did, which is just implode and embarrass yourselves. Portland, I have no idea what they're doing. Portland needs Tibbs. Or they need, maybe not. Well, Tibbs needs a job. So who is the coach? Mike Malone could work in Portland. As far as I'm concerned, run and gun, wide open offense, tough. It's just time for the rubber to meet the road in Portland. Like Scoot Henderson, what are we doing? Your top 3 pick, you're supposed to be starting. You're not supposed to be starting 10 games, attitude problems, like the stuff that, so it's time to, like Scoot, it might be time for you to go. Just like that. Right? You want to talk about N.B.A. draft? Ace Bailey. All the talk about Cooper Flagg. Ace Bailey might be arguably the best overall athlete, just hooper. Okay? Does anybody remember Imani Bates? He's in the league, hanging on. But he's the same age as Chet Holmgren. Chet's an N.B.A. champion. Okay? Chet didn't have to be the guy. He didn't have to go to 4 to 5 different prep schools. He didn't have to. He just stayed where he was playing. He grew where he was planted. He said, I'm going to Gonzaga. He just trusted the process. Quietly, he's an NBA champion right now. Imani Bates is like a fringe NBA player. I'm happy that he's in the league. I'm happy that he found himself and he found the hunger and the passion. But those two were 1 and 2. And one went one direction, the other went the other. Okay, Portland extends Chauncey. Fine. I am where is this going? Where is it going? He's been there. You've drafted he has young lions. I'm happy the man has a job. I'm happy there's continuity. N.B.A. came into Houston and immediately changed the culture, Houston was the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. And they brought back all the same players. Right? So that's N.B.A. That's N.B.A. coming in and developing. We look the same thing with Cleveland. That's Kenny Atkinson. Same thing. And by the way, the Celtics, it's just ridiculous. I keep referencing the Celtics. This is not necessarily a one-to-one reference, but Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell couldn't be in the same room together when Kenny Atkinson came to town. And then they won the most games in the league. Or tied for the most games, whatever the case may be. 1 second you can't be in the same room together. The next second you have 3 All-Stars. All of you are All-Stars, and throwing Evan Mobley. That's coaching. That's culture. Immediate. Talked about Billy Donovan when he went to Oklahoma City. 2016. Got the Spurs out of there that won 67 games. Took a 73-win team to 7 games. It was up 3-1. That's coaching. That's culture. So Chauncey staying in Portland, fine. What are we doing with Scoot Henderson? In my mind, get him out of there. Get him gone. Get what you can and build it around the other guys. All right, Drew's not going to be there for long. You're going to trade him to bring in, I don't think they're going to get a veteran player because who wants to go there? They're not a championship team. It's going to take time. So you just stockpile young players. But Chauncey, start developing these guys. The same development that you see with Shaedon, it's a loss with Scoot. He's got to go. As far as I'm concerned, he's gone. It's not working. Go. Unless he has a transformative experience. But, you fool me once, like with Ace Bailey. He's dropping down the draft board. Right? This is the time when you need to be on your best behavior and you're skipping meetings, you're skipping workout. This is when you need to at least pretend to be team first and a good guy to secure your money, and you won't even do it then. I'm supposed to give you 50 million, 60, 70 million dollars, and you can't even pretend to put your best foot forward. You can't even pretend to do that. Gone. So, Portland, maybe you move into the play-in. Portland reminds me of the Chicago Bulls in the East that, have had this talent. Lonzo was their most important player. It would have worked if Lonzo was healthy. You had DeRozan, you had Levine. You needed a guard to get them the ball, pass first. That was Lonzo. He wasn't healthy. It just didn't work. Kobe White, more of a scoring guard. They're talented. They work hard. Billy Donovan knows his business. They're always in the play-in. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so let's take a look at the West. Who's my top 6 teams? Oklahoma City stays. Houston stays in my top 6. Bring up San Antonio. That's 3. If Denver stays together, right? 4. So Oklahoma City, Houston, San Antonio, Denver. That's 4. Clippers are ripe for, because they're just boring, but do I think that Minnesota will overtake them? I think Minnesota's much more talented with Ant, with Randall, with Gobert, with Daniels. But I haven't seen it, so no. Clippers 5. All right, so who's going to be our 6th seed in the West? I don't see why it wouldn't. Golden State's going nowhere fast. Memphis is blowing it up. The Sacramento Kings are a dumpster fire. Dallas is going to take time. Phoenix is a dumpster fire. Portland, I can't trust them. San Antonio already moved up. Pelicans are a dumpster fire. Combining Zion Williamson and Jordan Poole. Okay, it's like dynamite and nitroglycerin together. You expect stability. Jazz are a dumpster fire. So the Lakers move into the play-in. San Antonio moves into the first 6. My play-in teams will be the Lakers. Dallas stays in the play-in. They're not that bad. Maybe Portland can get their act together and move into the play-in. Because Sacramento, I don't believe in them. No. Memphis, what are you doing? Let's talk about, it looks like Memphis is thinking about blowing it up. You're hearing stuff about, Jaren Jackson to the Lakers. And so Memphis looks like they're blowing it up. Even if they did blow it up, they'd be better than the Kings. So my playing teams are Golden State, the Lakers, the Mavericks. Can't trust Phoenix and Portland. Fine. That's what I got. So at the top of the West stays the same. Houston is here. Oklahoma City's not going anywhere. San Antonio will be young but dangerous. San Antonio will be young but dangerous. Can usurp Denver. Okay. A healthy Wemby. De'Aaron Fox playing downhill. Castle in year 2. Yes. Young Bull and Harper. Institutional strength. They can usurp Denver for the third best team in the West. Who knows if Minnesota wants to go all out or is happy just making the Western Conference Finals and getting embarrassed. I don't trust JJ Redick with the Lakers. I don't. Period. Okay? I don't. Luka needs a strong voice. A championship voice. So whether that means bringing in Mike Malone as an assistant, whatever. But as talented as the Lakers are on paper, when the going gets tough, and it will, you have 2 universes of personality. I didn't say world. I said universe. LeBron James is his own universe. Luka Doncic, the same. They need an elite Hall of Fame level coach to guide them. Not just LeBron's podcast partner. It's not going to work. Luka needs guidance. He's only had elite coaches. He doesn't need buddies. I have Sacramento out of the play-in because they I don't trust them. The roster doesn't make sense. Sabonis is just stuck there. You're going to run, are you going to play in the half court? Like, what are you doing? Zach LaVine is a chemistry killer. Just what are you doing? You had running gun, you had championship grade. He didn't, what did he not do? Did he not send over a martini to the, what did he do? Some minor slight, and then you get rid of him. Christie, you can catch lightning in a bottle because, this guy was awful. This guy is, Christie is not, Doug Christie is not Mike Brown. Mike Brown coming from the Popovich tree, lifer. That's not Doug Christie. I'm sorry. Nice guy. He's going through things off the court, whatever. He's not a top flight coach. He's not. And they have a bunch of question marks on their roster. So Sacramento out of the play-in. I'll give Portland the benefit of the doubt. Let's take a look at the East. Since where we started, since it's a whole new conference, since Boston decided to be proactive. All right. So Cleveland running it back, right? So they'll be at the top of the leaderboard. They're going to be, it didn't work. They got mad dogged. But they're going to work hard, they should have broken through. They didn't, whatever. Lost to the eventual Eastern Conference Finals champions. They're going to come back. They're going to have their culture in place. They're going to win games. So I have them staying at 1. Boston is done. My Knicks, they're going to take a step back. So Boston and New York are taking a step back. So Indiana can step forward. Okay, let's hold them at the 2 seed. Milwaukee, there's opportunities now. I like to see, if Milwaukee can get Drew back, we can talk. You re-sign Giannis and you mend fences with Drew. You got Dame, you got Drew, you got Giannis, you got Kuzma, Lopez, probably Portis. Okay, now you got pieces. You have stability. You have balance. It's not just all offense. You have a defensive identity. But that's we don't know. But Milwaukee, as constituted, no. Detroit is taking a step up. So Cleveland 1, Indy 2, Detroit 3, or Orlando 3. Either or. Detroit and the Mad, these 2 teams are coming in the top 4, top 5. I said what I said. All right. And for my mind, Devin Booker wants to be in Detroit. So let's keep that in mind. Oh, we're going to trade Jalen Green, but we're going to move him, and we're going to bring in who? Devin Booker's been there since the beginning. It hasn't worked. It's not going to work. There's nobody that and by the way, who wants Jalen Green? So nobody that they move Jalen Green for is going to convince Devin Booker that he's going to have a better chance to win and be happy than he would otherwise if he's in Detroit. Now, and Detroit has pieces. I'm not trading Cade. I'm not trading Jalen Duren. And I'd like to keep Thompson. But Jaden Ivey, Jaden Ivey we can move Jaden Ivey. Stewart, they got some. Duren and Cade are untouchable. Thompson, because Devin Booker is a dude, is a maybe. Maybe Jaden Ivey and Asor Thompson if you put my foot, if I had to do it. I find but Thompson's going to be a player. Jaden Ivey is a player. These are the type of your son's young players. But I pair Booker with Cade Cunningham. Now you know what I mean. Duren there, defense, rebounding. JB Bickerstaff knows his business. So watch that. That's what I'm watching for Detroit. They're going to be good as constituted, but I just think Booker is a man without a country that wants to go home. The Magic are going to be a problem. Okay, Atlanta. Quinn Snyder knows his business. They were on a roll before Jalen Johnson went down. He really stepped up and balled, speaking of player development, and a player that had question marks, and people, when he left Duke and he didn't have the N.B.A. pedigree and all the rest of this stuff, but came up under Quinn Snyder's leadership and was balling. So they're just, obviously Trey is there, but, they got some young Bulls and a good coach. So they're in the mix. Bulls, they've been playing. They're going to continue to be playing. It just, I don't know. It confuses me. Arturas Karnisovas built the Denver Nuggets into a championship team. Billy Donovan knows his business as a coach. They can never break through. It just confuses me. I haven't seen it, so I can't say that I'm going to see it. So they'll stay in the play-in. Now let's look at the bottom. Charlotte and these 2 teams are dumpster fires. I like Charles Lee, but he's just got too much. It's just too much. LaMelo is LaMelo. He's talented. He's young. He just is who he is. You're not going to win with LaMelo Ball. You're not. He'll get numbers. You're not going to win. All right, the 76ers are running it back, keeping the number 3 pick. Philly is intriguing. You can depend on Maxey. Tobias Harris is getting old. You can't depend on Joel Embiid, and Paul George is there because of Joel Embiid. So do I think that the 76ers are going to all of a sudden, going to sprinkle some, fairy dust on them, and they're all of a sudden going to be back in the top 4? No, I don't. In my view, they need to get off of Embiid if they could. Because it's been what it's been. It is what it is, and if I'm Philadelphia, it's Tyrese Maxey's team. And never mind that Embiid is not healthy, but is he a team first guy to accept that? It's Tyrese Maxey's team. And so I need a player not to assuage and to, I need, you bring in Paul George, who's older and injury prone. Yeah, Giddey and White are a nice duo, but why are they in the play-in? And forever in the play-in. And they have Patrick Williams. Like the Bulls, let's take a look at the Bulls roster. They just never win. In a conference that's wide open. Milwaukee was the walking wounded. Culturally and literally. But Giannis is a professional and they won games. Detroit now has leadership. Indiana clearly has leadership. The Knicks had leadership. And the Celtics had talent. But the Bulls over here with 39 wins, I don't get it. They have talent. They have culture. I like this kid, Derek Queen. I like the kid, Derek Queen. I wouldn't mind him going to the Sixers. A big to get rid of, so they can start moving away from Embiid. So Levine was there. He had, they just, Oh, Matas Bulius is also a young lion. Out of Brewster Academy. He's from the Chicago area, interestingly enough. But he played for Brewster Academy, and then he played for a lot of prep schools, went to the G League, and then when there used to be a G League Ignite before the NIL takeover. So the Bulls, Kobe White, dog. Vucevic, okay, he's serviceable. Giddey, wanted to get minutes instead of championships. I'm happy for him. He's getting his minutes. He's, good. Huter can get buckets, off the bench, bench mob. Good here. Dusuno, Trey Jones, coming off, good. Zach Collins, who's another good guy, good player, big, serviceable. Lonzo's never going to be healthy. And then just that, they just had a million players. So with the Bulls, yep, you got Kobe White, you got Giddey, Matas Bulius is up and coming. So that's 3. Vucevic, your veteran, Huter can get it done. Patrick Williams. So they got a solid 8 guys. Why are they always in the play-in with a solid 8 guys? And at the bottom of the play-in at that. I don't know. So the Bulls are back in the play-in. Atlanta is a team that could, so who do we have? Boston's going to be in the play-in. Let's take a look here, because let's take away the recency bias and personal offense, because I'm personally offended by Boston and New York. Cleveland, top 6. Indy, top 6. That's 2. Detroit, 3. Orlando, 4. Miami, no. Atlanta, maybe. I'd say Milwaukee, 5, because Giannis seems like he's staying. So who's our 6th team in the East? I can't say my New York Knicks. I can't say the Boston Celtics. Maybe that's harsh. Tell me what you think. All right, so, it's the Magic. I think I already put, you can see I'm a history person and not math. Cleveland, Indy, Detroit, Orlando. I already put them in. Milwaukee is 5. So our last team for me, is it the Celtics with the who knows what their roster is going to be? Is it the Knicks with the same roster or does Atlanta with continuity overtake Boston in New York? I'm going to be true to form. I'm going to say yes. Atlanta overtakes Boston in New York. Boston and New York go into the play-in. So Boston, New York, Miami, and Chicago. See now, but what about the Sixers? If Boston and New York are now in the play-in, Chicago stays in the play-in. The Sixers need Derek McQueen. Or Derek Queen. What? I don't trust the Sixers. I don't. I'm sorry. It's Tyrese Maxey's team. We're building it around him, which is no surprise because he's been the only one there. So Paul George, so it's Maxey, it's Tobias Harris. They got the McLean kid that can play. Like Paul George, are you going to show up to work or not? Because we can't trust N.B.A. to show up to work. We know this. He's not going to be there. The Wizards. Let's take a look. I mean, is CJ McConnell going to be is CJ McConnell going to equal 21 games? I like Sarr. Let's see what the Wizards are doing here. You know who I like just as much as CJ is Saddiq Bey is a problem. Saddiq Bey is solid out of Villanova. So Poole, Kuzma not there. Malcolm Brogdon doesn't want to be there. Sarr is up and coming, okay? And then just a bunch of Middleton, can't trust him. Smart, okay. Patrick Baldwin Jr., all the way at the bottom. He was a top pick. So the Wizards. CJ McConnell. You got Sarr. You got Valanciunas. You got Marcus Smart. Gritty. You got Chris Middleton, who's never going to be healthy. I just don't see it. No. Maybe they have a culture and a chemistry, to help Sarr develop, and Sarr starts to put up numbers. But, CJ McConnell and the others, and a bunch of just energy guys, or one energy guy and Marcus Smart, who may or may not want to be there. Chris Middleton's not going to be healthy. They got to find 21 wins somewhere. Washington stays in the basement. Charlotte maybe makes an improvement. That's not really good. Charlotte makes an improvement with Charles Lee, who knows his business, but then they just have to, LaMelo, he's not it. You want to extend him, fine. You want to put butts in seats, fine. You can stay in the lottery. And the 76ers, who are running it back. Embiid's not going to be healthy. So, and you know what we need to do? 2 hours into this episode, well after 12 o'clock, beautiful thing. We're going to be back with you for the draft. It's the summertime. I know people got to get up and go to work. I'm at my leisure. Still have work to do, though. Much work. You're never at your leisure. It's a heat wave here on the Cape. It's a beautiful thing. Loving the humidity. Because even though this is the early days of summer, you're in New England. Winter is always coming. So I savor these first days of played a men's league game. It was wild. Meaning, I had a team. I'm the captain, and 2 players canceled out last minute. I couldn't find other players. I only had 4 guys, which is the worst. It is. You want to talk about shame? To have 4 guys in men's league is true shame. It's a shame for yourself as a captain because the other 3 guys that took the time to come out, they don't get a full game. The other team doesn't get a full game. It is shameful when you don't have enough players in men's league basketball. Fortunately, we had a player that was just got there early. He agreed to play. So we had 5-on-5, got a good game, got a good run, scored a bunch of points. Final score 98-89. I had my 10 turnovers, as I'm known to do. Lackluster defense, so your boy didn't really make too much of a contribution, but we got a good game in. I ended up just inadvertently getting like smacked in the face in my eye. Like a player reached for the ball and just like raked my, and I was like, I went down because that, unfortunately, like my eyes are a little sensitive, but it was okay. But you know, like a player reaches and just like it was like I got clawed, but the dude didn't have no gloves on. He just like scratched right across my face. And we only had 10 people on the court, so I went down. You know, and it was kind of like a, but like that type of thing. I don't know. Like you can get a migraine headache. You can, you know, your eye, you know, your sight can be blurred. But fortunately, there was no damage done, so I really escaped. You know, and I'm able to do the pod and whatnot. So that was fortunate. I worked the table for the second game, which was a barn burner, 2 good teams, went down to the wire. Actually, another player who played in the first game filled in for the second game because a guy went down with injury. So it was just people helping people, a lot of grace, a lot of good fortune, you know, tonight. You know what I mean? And you know, you count your blessings. Okay, we're gonna talk about the draft, and yeah, I like Chris Burt. I don't trust Middleton. So, Chris, to your point, in the best of all possible worlds, right? Let's just say, because by the way, Chris BP Porzingis turned his career around in Washington before coming to the Celtics, before the Celtics wanted to be stupid. So that was a turnaround year in Washington in terms of scoring, but more importantly, rebounding, blocking shots. He's always been able to shoot the 3. So there was a really a solid development that took place there that turned him into, you know, a very important piece on a championship team before. Yeah, good. Yeah, West Coast only 940, wonderful. East Coast a little bit, but we, you know, so good. No end in sight for this episode. None, because we got a ton of slice of life to get to also. A ton of slice of life. And no end in sight, because we haven't even really talked about the draft, which we're going to discuss. We'll get there. So, yes, Washington. Okay, give me C.J. McCollum for continuity. Sarr is our young guy, our young bull, you know, to develop. He's got to get touches and development. Marcus Smart, come to work every day, be gritty, give us that rah-rah. All right, Kispert, you know, from Gonzaga, energy, shoot the 3, you know, bring that good energy, come out there, whatever, you know. Middleton, if he'll play, you know, accept the bench role, fine. Right? Except, you know, but I don't. So I hope that they're on the same page and they're doing the learning the fly thing, which is develop Sarr and just work hard and have good and not, you know, don't have bad attitudes. Guys don't. And like Marcus Smart, if you want to buy out at the trade deadline, then just do it the right way. Act like Milwaukee did this year. Because remember, Milwaukee started off, they were losing. They knew they weren't going to compete with Boston. Dame, you know, didn't want to be there. He's never wanted to be there. Giannis was talking about, I need to leave. And then Doc Rivers came in, got through to people, and they just, you know, like everybody's getting paid. You're all filthy rich. We know that guys don't want to be here, but just be a pro. And we'll work with you and we'll get you the heck out of here. Be a pro. Don't have to go on social media. We don't have to put our dirty laundry in the streets. You know? I got to look up Carter Bryant. Thank you for the reminder. I will have that. I got to look up this kid, Carter Bryant. Because we're coming into, I'm going to look him up right now. Let me just look up just to get, we're coming up into, and this is what we're going to talk about on the show as well. We're coming into the stars of tomorrow. Okay, Carter Bryant, kid from AZ. I can dig it. We'll see where he is on the draft board. Arizona did just serious in college basketball, from Lute Olson to, they just keep it. So we'll see. Interested in this guy. It's wide open after, the one is Coop. The two is Dylan Harper. And I think those are as two guys. And what's reassuring, like Dylan Harper, it's not just because my pops knows Ron Harper. It's not just because I know who Ron Harper is. Ron Harper was a problem with the Cleveland Cavaliers in the 80s, okay, going toe-to-toe with Michael Jordan, yes. And then reunited with Michael Jordan on the Bulls' second dynastic team because Michael Jordan knew this guy was a problem then. We bring him in, kind of like how the Celtics bring in a guy like Drew Holiday, that vibes with, the current roster to win some championships, but that's neither here nor there. Right? So Dylan Harper is his son. He has another son that's an NBA player. So he's just cut from that cloth, and so you're not going to tell Dylan Harper. He just knows what he needs to do. So he's coming in very talented and very hungry. Okay? Ace Bailey, very talented, he just and I got to use a name right now. I got to use a name with this Ace, Ace Bailey and how he's acting. I'm dating myself, but I don't care because he reminds me of Eddie Griffin, who was the number one overall player in the country when I was a young warthog. Yes, it's been a quarter century. Okay? But Ace Bailey and how he's acting, the immaturity, and Eddie Griffin, and some people would remember Eddie, passed away before his time at the tender age, young, 25, in a drunk driving accident. Had, from Philly, had difficulties, in his upbringing out of Philadelphia, and an example, a cautionary tale. Okay, I got to get Eddie on the screen. We'll come back to this draft board, but I can't talk about Eddie Griffin and not put him on the screen so people know who I'm talking about. Let's get Eddie on the screen. Well, we're taking it back now, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Because this is my upbringing. It's not my childhood. It's my high school years, class of 2000. McDonald's All-American game was in Boston that year. Many people don't know or remember Eddie Griffin, but you know who Zach Randolph is. You know Zach Randolph. Okay. Zach was at Michigan State that one year. And so Eddie was it. Played at Seton Hall for the 1 year. Again, New Jersey school. It was a difficult year. I don't know if he played with Shaheen. No, I think Shaheen Holloway was younger. He played with Andre Barrett at Seton Hall. And got into it with people in the locker room, and he was a troubled kid. But even still, the talent was the talent. Drafted 7th overall to the Houston Rockets based on the talent. I think he was, played with Garnett in Minnesota for a while. Garnett tried to work with him, take him under his wing. But he passed away, as I said, in a drunk driving accident at the age of 25. Okay? And I'm not going morbid or super somber. That's not the direction I'm going. This kid, young man Ace Bailey was at Rutgers. They don't even make the tournament. They're not even 500. You're not going to this workout. You're not going to this interview. Talent-wise, you're the 2 or the 3 pick. But you're falling down the leaderboard because you're showing all these negative signs. And it's not even about falling down a leaderboard. It's about you not even being in the NBA, period, is the conversation. Right? That you know, is it the best? Is every 15-year-old capable of receiving $1 million? If you give $1 million to a 15-year-old, can you expect? Yeah, Eddie Griffin, Seton Hall. That's right. Played with Andre Barrett at Seton Hall, 2 McDonald's All-Americans. You know, they were that was you know, it wasn't a Fab Five, but that team was nice. But you know, Eddie was not, he was not needed guidance. Okay, so but back to Ace Bailey. That's what I'm saying. As furious as you will not be in the NBA in 5 years. You'll be out of basketball if you conduct yourself like this. You know, because Obi Toppin had a good. I don't know if I got it in the slice of life that we're gonna go because I got a lot of slice of life to get to. But one is OG Toppin just talking about it's mental warfare when you come into the NBA and you have to accept a role. Benedict Mathurin accepted a role. Speaking of this kid, this Carter Bryant kid from AU or U of A, excuse me. Well, that was Benedict Mathurin a couple years back. He was that guy, that young bull. And he, to his credit, accepted a role off the bench. Defensive oriented, minded. Yes, he can get buckets. When Halliburton went down, we know we got a young boy that's going to get buckets. But that was not his role during the course of the season. He was to come in, get some, score with the second unit, but play lockdown defense and be an energy guy first and grow from there. And he accepted that role as a very talented, explosive prospect. And so he was in the NBA Finals, and he's going to get his next contract. He's moving forward. Ace Bailey, if you come into the NBA, you trickle down, so now, you go into a team might just take a shot on you, pick, and you're not going to play next year, Ace, particularly because you have a bad attitude, and also just because you're a rookie. So you're going to have to come in and earn what you get. But you've already shown a lack of resilience, a lack of role acceptance, and we haven't even gotten to the draft. So, he might slide to the point of, like a Denver drafting a Michael Carter Jr. Excuse me, Michael Carter Jr. What is this guy doing? The 2-hour mark and a Michael Porter Jr. I got it confused with Michael Carter Williams, who's here in the Commonwealth and doing, good work in the community. So Denver drafts a Michael Porter Jr. who slips down the draft board because of his physical, and we're drafting you, and then we're going to store you away for a couple years until you're ready. That's what we're doing, period. And it paid off, and they won championships, and, he's one of their core 4. So Ace Bailey, you keep this up, like you're going to fall, and a team is just going to take a flyer on you, but you ain't playing next year. They're going to take a flyer to see, because the first-round draft pick, you don't know anyway, to see if we can get through to you. And you can kind of, and if you're, who this reminds me of is the young man on Memphis, Jaren Jackson Jr., who was, a phenom, All-American first team. He was supposed to go to UNC, decommitted from them, went to South Carolina, I believe, played there, had to be in the NBA, so came into the NBA just with not really much to show for himself. He's drafted, you take a flyer on him, you draft on the talent, so to speak. But then Jaren Jackson Jr., as you know, not Jaren Jackson Jr. What's the guy's name? What's the kid's name from Memphis? I got to get it. The young bull that they have. It's not Jaren. What am I saying, Jaren Jackson? This guy, he might have to. I might be deducted some points. This podcast is live. I'm missing up names. Not showing any sort of stamina, on the live, on the Bagley. Who was the kid? Did they trade him? I'm not seeing him. It's not Jaren Jackson. What is the kid's name? What's going on, Moof? A couple people in the chat. Who is now I gotta Gigi Jackson. Gigi Jackson. That's close. Jaren Jackson, Gigi Jackson. Right? So he was the dude supposed to go here, skipped out on them, got some money over here, stayed for a year. Then he had to get to the NBA, drafted late. What's up, Moof? Salute from Boston. Chime in. Chris is here. He's contributing mightily. I'm furious about the Drew Holiday trade. I know I'm furious. It's awful. It's moribund, as Stephen A. Smith would say. Okay, you slammed the door after 2 years on a dynastic championship team, and I've debunked a lot of the second apron ridiculousness. It could have been done without a second apron penalty, and you could have paid the second apron penalty and still won championships. So I have no time for the Drew Holiday trade. Okay. It took you all these years to build a championship team. How long has Tatum and Brown been here to build this championship team up? Go back to Gordon Hayward. He had the injury. He came back. The Kyrie experiment, it didn't work. Kemba Walker comes in. All these iterations to get to this championship. This is the best team that they've had, including the Kyrie, Gordon Hayward team. This is by far the best team. And you gave it 2 years. And then put your tail between your legs with the second apron nonsense and blew it up. It's offensive to me. Move, chime in, take off as needed. Chris, you're welcome. I'm repeating myself, but some Boston people came in, so I had to say what I said. Back to the draft that we're talking about. Ace Bailey, that's what I'm saying. I said what I said. He could be out of basketball in 5 years. With the reports that we're hearing. Out, gone. Okay? I don't want to go. What are we talking about here? He's coming, you know what I mean? Like he's, and LeBron, you're not transcendent. You're not Wemby. And isn't it amazing? Like the Wembys and LeBrons, they're transcendent athletically, but they're also transcendent intellectually in terms of understanding what it takes, not just to be great but to make it in the league, to build themselves up on all these different levels. Okay, starter, fringe all-star, all-star, all-NBA, MVP, champion, Hall of Famer. There's steps that they are climbing, and they realize they have to climb, and they are unicorns. Ace Bailey ain't no unicorn. He's a talented player, one of a handful. This draft is just, I'm seeing a lot of talent, period. So I'm railing against Ace, and he's from Jersey. But I want to just I'm keeping it a buck. And I'm keeping it a buck because I think a part of why he is so wayward, so notably wayward, is he's had tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars since he's like 14. Yeah. And you can't do that with everybody. Everybody doesn't have my man AJ, like I know him. AJ DeBancer, the pride of Brockton, Massachusetts. Okay? But he's got a family unit around him. His dad and his mom, okay? And we know that Michael Jordan's mom came to, we saw the Last Dance. Michael Jordan's mom came to live with him in Chicago when he came to the Bulls. Give that structure. You were not just, you're going in, and before he was who he was, but that was the foundation to become who he became. AJ DeBanza has structure. He also has $7-8 million, but he has structure. So that money is being invested. He lives a wonderful, comfortable life. He comes back to the Commonwealth. He visits the City of Champions. It's a beautiful thing. We love to see it. It's just wonderful. But it's like, the whole, like, you just getting paid royally to just be yourself and do what you love to do. Isn't that something? I want to show up to work. I want to eat healthy. I want to be at 6 o'clock workouts with N.B.A. guys. Because I love what I do and I'm seeing the fruits of my labor. That's AJ DeBanza with his millions of dollars. This is my Ace over here. I gotta use another name. I gotta use another name, folks. We talked about the late great Eddie Griffin. He reminded me of Lenny Cook. Some people, he reminded me of Lenny Cook is who he's reminding me of. Let's get Lenny on it. Okay? See if I can get the picture. It's a famous picture of Lenny and can't do TikTok. Trying to get a young Lenny. I'm going to get a young Lenny. It's a documentary about him. But yeah, Lenny. Again, I'm dating myself. 2001. Okay, he's a prospect. I believe he entered the 2002 N.B.A. draft. He's a year older than LeBron. So the 2001 draft was just the high school sweepstakes, like the last year of the high school Casino Royale. Okay, you remember the number 1 overall pick's name in Kwame Brown. Remember the number 2 overall pick's name. Oh, Shea Cotton. Chris coming through. Yep. Shea Cotton, same thing. Chris, have you seen At All Costs? If not, it's on YouTube. Go ahead and Google it up. I found it on Netflix. It was Netflix gold for me with the algorithm. These algorithms, they know people better than we know ourselves, right? You like one movie and they give you like 4 or 5 other bangers. It's like, how'd you know that? These algorithms. Shout out to Jeff Bezos taking over the world. But Shea Cotton out west. And what the conversation, check out At All Costs. It's not like Hoop Dreams is a long form. At All Costs is kind of, it's about an hour and a half, but it just talks about the process to make it. On this conversation, what SandCity, I'll put it up. I'll put it up on the screen in a second. At All Costs. Just At All Costs documentary. And you'll see the Hooper that's there. You'll see the Hooper that. And doggone it, I've been doing this whole episode. See, we've been on this for 2 hours. You got to watch when you put your foot in your mouth. I've been going ham on the Celtics. Took me 40 minutes to even do the intro. I got my watch in my pocket this whole doggone time. Heck is going on? Now I got to go 3 hours because it been 2 and 20. I ain't even had my doggone watch on. Heck is wrong with this guy? Ridiculous. It's like my watch game. I mean, it's a hand me down, but my little watch game in my pocket. So At All Costs, And it gets into what I'm kind of looping back around to. At all costs was it's well done. Okay, if you don't like it, then I don't know. I'll pay for some DoorDash or whatever. But it's well done. It's well done. And it looks at the Compton Magic and Atope, who's a power broker in the grassroots basketball. You might not know Atope, but you do know Evan Mobley. Um, he's a Compton Magic alum. Others, Jimmy Juzang at Kentucky. Um, so there's Shea Cotton comes on and speaks. But yeah, they forget about you real quick. And what is it? Coworker told me, he said, you got to be careful what you wish for because you might get it. And that's the cautionary tale of Lenny Cook. That's the cautionary tale of Shea Cotton. It's just, frankly, and this is what I've learned, it's too much too soon. Right? I went to prep school. We're talking Division I ESPN guys being told go to bed at 9 o'clock by teachers. 6'7" Diesel, go to bed. You heard what I said. Lights out. And when they come in the morning, make your bed. Make your bed. Prep school was all basketball and books for me, so I was happy. Those guys, those D1 elite guys, Coach K coming to check this player out. Bobby Knight coming to check this player out. I need to see the Drew League documentary. I haven't seen that. I will search that up. My dear friend D Tomp, big fan of the Drew League and out there in the Western. One of the teams today was really good, had the D Tomp jerseys. It's a beautiful thing. The best of us. Main man, Derek Thompson. So yeah, I'll check out the Drew League documentary. And one of the Slice of Life clips, I keep referencing it. We're gonna get there eventually. I mean, with the SandCity, we have to go to 2 a.m. It is what it is. It's summertime. So we doing what we. I mean, and it's only on the left coast. It is what it is. So I think 2 would be the cutoff thereabouts. But long story not so long. Like those things at prep school that the players couldn't stand. Go to bed, make your bed. And I'm not like I'll never forget it because you can see I've been talking into the atmosphere for 2 and change. So I'll talk to you. I'll never forget when I was at prep school, and I talked, and sometimes I talk too much. Looking back, I didn't know when to shut the heck up. I talked too much. I talked beyond, so that may be this case. This is a different little, this podcast, so I can just talk. But I said too many things to folks. Some things feelings were hurt, to a certain extent, and yada yada yada. My point with this is, I remember asking the coach, prep school coach, who's still around and still, coaching number N.B.A. guys and all the rest of that stuff. I asked him what he thought of ABCD camp. I was like, oh my goodness, you worked at ABCD camp and it's unbelievable. And that's where he was finding his players as well. So he had to be there because, that's how he, made his living, finding the stars of tomorrow. And I'll never forget, he said, look, if you're afraid of the players, which I'm not, then it's going to be kind of challenging, but bottom line, like, I don't care if it's Zach Randolph. I don't care if it's Eddie Griffin. I don't care if it's Lenny Cook. I don't care if it's LeBron James, right? You're a tremendous player that needs, quote, coaching, that needs elite coaching. And that's what I'm here to provide, and there's no 2 ways about it. Because your talent alone is not going to get you there if you don't have guardrails, if you don't have the long view, okay? You can put it all off. You can throw caution to the wind. You can have a John Paul Bunyan mentality. And then, like John Paul Bunyan, you will strike out and it will be over. Period. 60%, maybe 70%, broke. right? 60%. You talk to NBA guys, it might be closer to 70%. Broke. And that's the ones that make it to the league and stay in the league for some years. Still broke. Never mind those that don't even get to that second contract. We played a clip of, there's, Andre Drummond has a clip, to this effect. We might not get it on this. So all of the pomp and circumstance of the draft, and it's a moment. It's more about yourself and the people that helped you to get there. I love the drafts across the board, the NBA, the draft with Jaden Ivey and his mom there. It's just, because you just don't, we just see these folks in their rarefied form, striding, confident, dominant, NCAA champ, and, they you climb Mount Wudang, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. You climb Mount Wudang. No, you don't take the helicopter. You climb the mountain to get there. And so the draft is just wonderful to see that, when once somebody becomes an entity, you just think they've always been the Lenny Cooks, the Shea Cottons, the Ace Baileys, the whoever's. No. I was, you go back and look at Anthony Edwards when he's playing. He played on the Under Armour circuit, in 8th grade. I'm just go back and watch more than a game, which is outstanding, before LeBron James was LeBron James, he was just an at-risk kid, working class kid in Akron that needed, and Coach Drew provided structure, provided guidance, and that's why it's more than a game, because we didn't have much. They didn't have much. They didn't have much. Okay, and basketball was the vehicle. Basketball was the ship, which around there's just a lot of distractions and, difficulty. Okay, and basketball was the vehicle to help them to get there. So you remember that when you get there, so you can stay there. Eddie Curry, 2001 draft, 4th overall, right? Pau Gasol was 3rd. Eddie Curry was 4th, prior to Chicago. The next Shaq, right? Just like Jabari Parker was supposed to be the next LeBron. Eddie Curry, another talented player, could have had a long career. Eddie, he talks about this now. Being in Chicago, in the neighborhood, 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Not great. Some jewelry was commandeered. Antoine Walker talks about it. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Living the life, playing poker, out all hours. It ends. Billy Corbin, 30 for 30 broke. ESPN Gold. You go from one, and it's and that's back to Ace Bailey, because it's crazy when everything is up front and you just, never mind not understanding, because and there's no reason that you it's no shame in not having a degree from Harvard Business School when you're 20. There's no shame in that. You're not going to get your degree till you're 22. You didn't get your MBA from Harvard Business School till you're like 25. You're just 20. But back to at all costs, back to Atope, Nyeke Okanye, who with the Atlanta Hawks, is another one of his guys, and he talks about it, how to do it right, meaning sitting down with the family through the journey, through the process, and to say you're just living off of your endorsement money. You're not touching any of your salary money. So whatever you get in endorsements, that's what you're living off of. The salary money is all going away. You're not touching that. Uncle Shannon talks about this in terms of the people that he had around him and during his career. This is not being touched for 20 years. You're not touching it. And you're living off of that. And if that runs low, well, you need to do another camp. You need to do another appearance. Okay? You need to leverage what you have as a celebrity and a star. Like, you know what I mean? You win a championship in Denver, you never buy, right? You need a couple of those events, those 10, 20, 50, $100,000 events to show up, shake hands, take some pic. You need to do those because that's what you're living off of. And you need to think about, right? Okay, you want to have the money card, you lease that for a month. You try to find, and then you give it back. No sense in buying 10 cars, only drive one. So Uncle Shan talks about that. He put that money away 20 years later. Okay, we talk about this recession, that recession. All right, since time immemorial. What two things are we? Still, what did Tony say? He said, still, break it down. Since time immemorial, what two businesses have been recession proof? So said certain aspects of show business and our thing. Tony, that's enough. That's it. Frankly, I'm embarrassed and ashamed. He said, you guys got the top tier positions. You're supposed to be earners. So go out there and create some earners. Now, that's the Sopranos. I'm just a guy. But Atope is setting his guys up to be recession proof. That's the. And by the way, you can't live off of. You go from working class. You go to college. You can't live comfortably off of $2 million, $3 million. I know that other player. You're in the locker room with guys that's making $50 million, but that's those guys. I'm over here. Steph Curry is over there. I'm over here. Chef is over there. I'm over here. That's maturity and growth. I don't have to go chain for chain. You know what I mean? I don't have to keep up with guys that everybody know. I'm not making the money they're making right now. If I can shine in my first 3 years, I can get that on my second contract. Bane is getting paid on his second contract, or whatever the case may be. But nobody knew who Bane was. We knew who Ja was. We didn't know who Bane was. He had to earn that. Okay? So you want to talk about Eddie Curry? Right? And nobody's, because I'm just a guy. But these players, after they go through it, Michael Beasley has been very vocal recently. Michael Beasley, talented player, came out with Derrick Rose, was just dominant at K-State. But basketball nerds like myself and my friend group, we knew Michael Beasley got kicked out of rookie orientation. Michael Beasley had to go away after his rookie year with Miami. Okay? He was showing the maturity issues from day one. With the structures the N.B.A. under the late, great David Stern and then continued under Adam Silver has in place. Like, everybody knows the numbers. Nobody's proud of the numbers. So there's these structures in place to help you if you want to be helped. Shout out to Coach Bedford and Hoop Dreams. Yes, sir. Coach Bedford and Hoop Dreams. When they beat King in the city championship. Yes, sir. To go downstate. He said, we're here to help you if you want to be helped. I'm not Chicago. I had my roommate. I visited Chicago. It was crazy. It was wonderful. I still keep touching my roommate. His kids are coming up. It was speaking of prep school, and we'll talk. So it's a beautiful thing. But I'm not Chicago, but I have love for the tradition, but I'm not Chicago. Okay, so let's not get it twisted. But Coach Bedford was and is Chicago. So I've come through the same environment, been through it just like you're going through it. We're here to help you if you want to be helped. If you don't want to be helped, it's a big city. There's a lot going on. It is what it is. But there's people here to help you if you want it. And that's the N.B.A. has in place. Okay, let's talk Eddie Curry, Antoine Walker, but quickly. Antoine Walker taking care, and Stephon Marbury, who's done well for himself, by the way. Marbury's done well for himself, went to China, came back, but he was out there eating Vaseline, and his time in the NBA is over. But then he got on a good track and is doing very well. And he's in China, he's got his own shoes, making millions of dollars. It's working for him. Respect. Okay, but Antoine Walker was taking care of 75 people. When it, Stephon Marbury, before he went to China, I take care of 25 people. I'm taking care of 25 people. Oh, that's how you go broke. You can't take care of no 25 people. You can barely take care of 5 people. Okay, in perpetuity, sustainably. 25, that's that Bill Gates. That's that Oprah. You may be at an event with Bill Gates and Oprah. Bill Gates probably not. Oprah more likely, because Bill, you only see those folks. Isn't it amazing? Like you see them and they're there for a very short time, but they're everywhere. But you know what I mean? Like Zuckerberg, they're everywhere. But like actually, and when you're like you could be in a position like Tom Brady cross paths with Bezos at some event, but you see them like in passing, even though they are the masters of the universe. And they're very aware of what's going on at all times. But they're not dropping, whatever at the club. Yeah, kids. That's when you talk about Sean Kemp, 7, 8 kids, 7, 8, 9 kids. Just a lot of athletes will talk about it. I happen to know a relative of Kenny Anderson who's done well. He's coaching. I follow him on social media, and this is, well, I'm not talking out of school here. Upwards of 5 kids, 5 plus. Okay. So on the one point, the downfalls are there. Everybody knows them. On another point, it should make us appreciate LeBron even more. Right? Should make us appreciate LeBron even more. Kobe, right? Family, had his issues, no doubt about it, but family. And that goes back to, and again, Ace Bailey, you're a good player, but you're not transcendent. It is, I said what I said. Prove me wrong. Go out there and dominate as a rookie. We'll replay these clips and I'll eat my words. All right, because Luka came out as a rookie and served notice. Trey came out as a rookie, right? You could see it immediately. Joe Burrow, if we're talking to NFL, eye test immediately. That's a dude. We go back and watch The Last Dance. What did they call up? The coaches call up to the front office after a couple practices. Just want to let you know, you got the draft right. Click. I just want to let you know, Last Dance, this kid Jordan, you got it right. Click. I seen enough. Early on, clear, evident. Okay? Portland, speaking of Portland, you should have listened to Bobby Knight. You should have listened to Bobby. Well, we already got Clyde Drexler, and we want to have a balanced rock. Draft Michael Jordan and play him at center. Draft him and play him at center. And call me in a couple years. Do not pass on this guy. Winston Justice. Winston Justice doesn't ring a bell. Oh, right. Ex-barber. His cousin was Winston Jeffers. So he quit his job because he thought he could just take care of the whole family. No. Yeah. Chris, great point. And this is something Billy Corbin brings out. It's kind of unique to minority communities, African-American communities specifically. You're seen as the ticket for everybody, and you're just one person who doesn't really have, who has generational wealth for you. The way it's promoted is if it's for everybody. Once you start, it's just for you. How long did it take LeBron to become a billionaire? How long did it take Michael Jordan to become a billionaire? Decades. To move from rich, into the lower echelon of wealthy. But in doing that, LeBron, I can't, no. And if you're really my friend, you will understand that no. Because it doesn't make dollars and it doesn't make sense. You're going to burn through the money because you're part of the consumer class, right? The working class, the middle class, we're the consumers. You're not investing, you're consuming. Yeah, Greg Oden, everybody, and that's what got the GM in Portland fired. Even though it's like a Jamarcus Russell, right? Everybody, it just can't miss and phenomenal. You know, and Greg Oden was a good guy, moved on to become a dentist, had the character issue. He just had degenerative knees, and if we go back to Oden and Durant was the one who was supposed to be Mr. Glass, and Oden was supposed to be and that goes to the whole point in this new era where people do get it right. Sam Presti, you don't have to have great physical strength to play basketball. Never mind the fact, and this is why the Jrue Holiday, I'm coming back to Jrue Holiday, yes I am, is stupid. Oh, he's 36. He can play till he's 46. It's not the same N.B.A. Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason, Xavier McDaniels, John Sally, Bill Laimbeer, right? You can't just tee off on people anymore. Right? There's far less physicality in the game. And then B, this is something that Charles Barkley talks about, that, your gazelles, right? Your long Kevin Durant, and you look at, he's thin. Okay, but he's slick. It's a freedom of movement sport. As soon as you get your shoulders in front of that person, they are liable for all the contact. So they can keep fouling you and fouling you and fouling out of the game, putting you to the free throw line, and that strategy doesn't work. So getting to your spot before the other person is what it comes down to. It's a freedom of movement sport with contact. It's not a collision sport with contact. It's a freedom of movement sport with contact. And the thinking hadn't changed yet to realize it's not the guy with great physical strength that's the better basketball player within those rules. Now if you could hand check a guy, if you could like body slam people, like you go back and you look at how they were fouling in the Lakers and Celtics games, like literally clotheslining somebody, dangerous plays. Like somebody jumps, you don't hit them when they're in the air. That's dirty. You don't do that. Like Kurt Rambis got it was like, Jimmy Snuka came from the left side and just clotheslined him. Lost his balance, flying feet in the air. That's not basketball. That may be MMA or these joint, and you see the MMA where like 10 people just get it on. I tip my hat to all of you, okay? I stand back from the TV when that stuff is on. I can't even watch close to the TV when they get to thudding it out like that. Okay? But people, you're strong, you train, there's rules, you want to get it, you go ahead and do it. So back to Kevin Durant, and just in terms, and the other part of it is, as the N.B.A. is more space and pace, scoring, secondary break, like you're running, that's the other thing that the science or the not people didn't catch up. I'm stuttering, but to the whole Greg Oden thing, that was more 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and playing inside out versus spreading it out, running and gunning. You can throw Yao Ming in there as well. It's just that's a lot of that the bigger burly He-Man type of lumbering big is going to actually have to try to get leaner. I think of somebody like Naz Reid for the Timberwolves, who lost a lot of weight. Udonis Haslem, by the way, go ahead and take a look at Udonis Haslem at Florida. And then Udonis Haslem in his NBA career. I don't know if he went vegan or whatever he did, but he lost a lot. So that's another advantage that the thinner gazelle is going to have, whereas he can run these sprints for however long, I mean, because he has a distance runner's frame versus the muscle on top of muscle. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you could break down. Okay, we're at the 2:45 mark. We're going to at least 2 in the AM. SandCity Sports Tuesday edition. Celtics lost their minds. So we're getting it in. Shout out to Lenny Cook. Take a look at this is one of the sites we used to go to. And I got to bring it over. Used to live on this site in the day. N.B.A. draft.net. This is like the one shining moment of N.B.A. draft.net. And then it's another 365 days. Where's my N.B.A. draft.net? Thank you. All right, Cooper, Dylan, VJ. Wow, this is interesting to me. Con Kneppel all the way at the 4 ahead of Ace Bailey. Con Kneppel was a late bloomer on the EYBL circuit. Close this. Out of Baylor. This is who Chris was talking about. Very good. Thank you. Coming from Long Island. 6'5". VJ Edgecombe. I can dig it. I can dig it. I'm respect to Con Kneppel. I thought he would actually come back to Duke. I didn't realize he was this sought after. Top 5. Not taking anything away from him. And then we got another, from Duke. So Duke, right? I've said it. It's clear here. They got the number 1, the number 4, the number 8 pick. They were the best team in the tournament. Got edged out in crunch time. All these picks I'm loving for Duke just because, good stories. Come on, Maluk on the Sudanese national team up under the leadership of Luol Deng. Trey Johnson out of Houston, top player in his class. Okay. Ace Bailey at 5 to Utah. Danny Ainge, you think you can get through to him? Does he even want to be in Utah? I don't know. So that's a risk. I like VJ Edgecombe to the Sixers, though. I like that. They got McLean, but you can play all 3 of these guys together. Maxey, Edgecombe, and McLean go 3 guards. Okay, put the bias to the bench. Paul George at the 4 and Embiid at the 5. I can dig it. So and again, I need to get. I'll let Jay Billis speak for a couple things. I'm not well versed on all of these guys. Cooper, Dylan, yes, follow these guys. Kneppel, again, he was one of not, obviously he's not Cooper, but he really trusted John Shire, and so I'm happy for him at 4. Ace Bailey, huge question marks. Trey Johnson, I know, played for Houston Hoops. Oklahoma guard here. Arizona out of Compass Prep in AZ. My brother would know them. He's out in AZ. So long story, not so long. I think this is a deep NBA. This is a deep draft. At the top, those that I'm seeing, I'm supporting. Okay. And Ace Bailey, that's the okay. Utah saying we're not going to let him slip past us. Okay. But Utah, what the heck are you doing? What exactly? What direction? Seemed like you thought you were going to be gifted the number 1 pick, and you haven't been. And now you're taking a risk on a talented player that doesn't know who he is. So we'll see. Let me X out of a couple things. We're doing good in terms of our bandwidth. Got about another 20 or so minutes. We got a lot of slice of life. A whole bunch of slice of life to get through. And two, let me just go around the socials. It is late. It's only a Tuesday. I know people got to go to work, but SandCity is here for you people. I know y'all got to go to work. Any other time of the year, I would have been going to work, but it's summertime and the living is good. So SandCity is getting it on in the late night. You know what I mean? We started a little bit late, but Celtics wanted to go and not leave well enough alone and make excuses about the second apron. I said what I said. I'm saying what I'm saying. You can dismiss me as just a guy, or you can take what I'm saying and give it a little bit of credence. But I'm hook, line, and sinker against it. I don't buy the second apron excuse. And I just think it's wrong. All right, let's get into this slice of life. Got about 20 minutes or so for the slice of life. Excuse me. All right, well, we can start right here. Is there... No, there's no video with that. John Stockton, not a fan of the transfer portal. Me neither. NIL, fine. Transfer portal, no. 4 years at 4 different schools, no. Okay. All right. We've been talking about Ace Bailey. I'm not alone. I mean, everybody's talking about Ace Bailey, so that's really kind of... But
the fans don't come watch you. You're never on TV. It's going to cost you $3 million to go from 4th to 7th, just contractually. He refused to go to the Sixers for a workout, and he was claiming because they would make him certain promises. Wouldn't even have dinner with Daryl Morey and Sixers ownership, right? And the Sixers, if everybody's healthy, pretty good young team around Embiid, right? And Maxey and McClain, right? Yeah. They're not a bad team. Paul George is still there. You want to go play for the Utah Jazz? When's the last time they were relevant? Oh, I know what. Let's go play for the Pelicans because Zion's done such a great job there. They're in the postseason every year, and they're not. And then the last team you mentioned, a team that shouldn't even be in basketball anymore, in the Washington Wizards. Go to Washington. We'll never hear from you again. Because remember this about Ace Bailey. Great player, one of the most disappointing years any college team has had in the last 25 years, with him and Dylan Harper at Rutgers under 500. Why would you want to go to a place where the fans don't come watch you? You're never on TV.
I'm not detecting any lies.
It's going to cost you $3 million to go from 4th to 7th, just contractually. He refused to go to the Sixers for a workout, and he was claiming because they would make him certain promises. Wouldn't even have dinner with Daryl Morey and Sixers ownership, right? And the Sixers, if everybody's healthy, pretty good young team around Embiid, right? And Maxey and McClain, right? Yeah. They're not a bad team. Paul George is still there. You want to go play for the Utah Jazz? When's the last time they were relevant? Oh, I know what. Let's go play for the Pelicans because Zion's done such a great job there. They're in the postseason every year, and they're not. And then the last team you mentioned, a team that shouldn't even be in basketball anymore, in the Washington Wizards. Go to Washington. We'll never hear from you again. Because remember this about Ace Bailey. Great player, one of the most disappointing years any college team has had in the last 25 years with him and Dylan Harper at Rutgers under 500. Why would you?
Okay, no lies detected. It's a lot on Ace. Possibly, you come in saying being hypercritical. Okay, given and required. Much is given, much is required. Not trying to rain down pressure on you, young bull, young lion. Okay, but come back to that place, that hunger that you had to become Ace Bailey and to get to this standing where you're at. Seems that there's a lot of distractions, a lot of chefs in the kitchen, okay, none of which is going to serve you. So I hope you can get back and get good people around you, okay, and stay hungry. And instead of expecting a plate every single where you go. Another story, a little bit different, but again, speaking of, this is frankly a negative to a positive in my mind, and somebody's showing a little bit of accountability, and this is how I'm going to do it. And hey,
6 o'clock and run for 30 minutes every day,
or go to class.
If you miss class, I'm like, practice at 1 now, mind you, 1 o'clock. So I'm like, I wake up at 6, go run for 30 minutes. I'll get in good shape, better than everybody on the team, getting extra, right? Then I'm gonna get a good breakfast. Then I'm gonna go get a good nap, and then I'm gonna get some shots up before practice. So I'm gonna be ready, and I'm gonna stay after practice, and I'm gonna go get high, and then we're gonna repeat it next day.
Cracker got an AR, like he shooting schools up. Yellow wide body, Hellcat look like a school bus. Dove up in that water, I ain't had no school bus. Glock on my lap, up and blow like a tuba. You just a hang bitch, I don't get too fucks. You just like to talk a lot, you ain't finna do nothing. They just like to pocket watch, so I got some zippers for them. I got peas and zippers for them. What they need, I get it for them. Don't laugh, it's annoying, bitch, you can't ignore it. On that porch, right till early morning, try and get it on. We get chila, Asiago, pockets, they on double portion. Bitch,
you gotta wake up at 6.
Now, to be clear, I don't know if we had the medicinal at this time when he was at Florida. So I don't know if they were doing the medicinal, so I can't co-sign the last part of this. But how he's talking about the hunger, but the process, he said, I'm going to get extra. He said, I'm going to be in there to get extra. So, yeah, go ahead.
6 o'clock and run for 30 minutes every day.
Or go to class.
If you miss class, I'm like, practice at 1 now, mind you, 1 o'clock. So I'm like, I wake up at 6, go run for 30 minutes. I'll get in good shape, better than everybody on the team, getting extra, right? Then I'm going to get a good breakfast.
Gonna get that extra
then
now.
I'm going to go get a good nap. And then I'm going to get some shots up before practice, so I'm going to be ready. And I'm going to stay after practice. And I'm going to go get high. And then we're going to repeat it next day.
Cracker got an AR, like he shooting schools up. Yellow wide body, Hellcat look like a school bus. Dove up in that water, I ain't had no school bus. Glock on my lap, up and
Jason
blow
Williams
like
was a problem.
You just a hang bitch.
Young Jason Williams.
You just like to talk a lot. You ain't finna do nothing. They just like to pocket watch. So I got some zippers for them. I got peas and zippers for them. What they need, I get it for them. Don't laugh, it's annoying. Bitch, you can't ignore it. On that porch, right till early morning. Try and get it on. We get chila, Asiago. Pockets, they on double portion. Bitch,
you gotta wake up at 6 o'clock.
That young Jay Will was a vision. Young Jay Will. The pride of West Virginia, right? He and Randy Moss, same high school, West Virginia. Okay, blue collar, working class roots, and just, hey. Woo, I don't know about the lab part, the medicinal. I don't know about that. I know he was in the gym, getting better. Continue.
Personally think that he wants to be great. He had a hell of a year at Duke. A guy that can do so many different things on the floor, can play with the ball, can play without the ball. His jump shot is going to continue to get better, super athletic, quick second jump. And also, he has the benefit, unlike myself, he gets to join a team that's established with Hall of Fame guys, Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, right off the bat. Hall of Fame coach Jason
Forgot about
Kidd.
Clay.
You know, these guys are like, they can give him the whole blueprint while he continues to learn what his blueprint will be. And I think that's going to be an incredible thing for him to have that type of presence, that type of leadership, that type of just basketball IQ and knowledge around him every single day from those pieces. So I think he's going to be amazing. I personally think that he wants to be great. He had a hell of a year at Duke. A guy that can do so many different things on
Clay
the floor.
being there,
Can play with the ball, can play without the ball. His jump shot is going to continue to get better. Super athletic, quick second jump. And also, he has the benefit, unlike myself, he gets to join a team that's established.
Right.
With Hall of Fame guys, Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, right off the bat. Hall of Fame coach Jason Kidd. These guys are like, they can give him the whole blueprint.
Yep.
While he continues to learn what his blueprint will be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's going to be an incredible thing for him to have that type of presence, that type of leadership, that type of just basketball IQ and knowledge around him every single day from those pieces. So I think he's going to be amazing.
Yes,
I
indeed.
personally.
Let's talk a little bit about development.
Years in the league, I might have worked out at 10 o'clock in the morning, but then I'm playing pickup all around the city, outdoors, coalition league. I'm playing 4 or 5 games of pickup, just working on my instincts the whole day, 4 times a week, from like 19 years old till I'm like 24. So I'm just hooping against people, different sizes, shapes, guards, bigs. I'm just working on my game, playing pickup. And I look back and that was just way more beneficial to me than just getting in the gym working out by myself. You know what I'm saying? So as much as I can play 1s, 2s, 3s, pick up, I think that made me better quickly, fast. You know what I'm saying? And gave me confidence. Hoop as much as possible. Play 5-on-5 against live bodies. That's more beneficial than just working out by yourself all the time. My first few years in the league, I might have worked out at 10 o'clock in the morning, but then I'm playing pickup all around the city, outdoors, coalition league. I'm playing 4 or 5 games of pickup, just working on my instincts the whole day, 4 times a week, from like 19 years old till I'm like 24. So I'm just hooping against people, different sizes, shapes, guards, bigs. I'm just working on my game, playing pickup. And I look back and that was just way more beneficial to me than just getting in the gym working out by myself. You know what I'm saying? So as much as I can play 1s, 2s, 3s, pick up, I think that made me better quickly, fast. You know what I'm saying? And gave me confidence. Hoop as much as possible. Play 5-on-5 against live bodies. That's more beneficial than just working out by yourself all the time. My first few.
Important perspective, right? From KD. East Bay Magazine, yes, I do, Chris. Your take on Kneppel? Kevin Huerter? Okay. Kneppel, he's Huerter. Kneppel's, broad shoulders. He's more, to me, he's more physical. So he scored a lot from Duke, which I loved, from the corner or from the short corner, just kind of getting to the block and just like, finding the angle and then just kind of bumping the other guy and finding the glass. So he does a really good job attacking from the wing or short corner. He's big. Huerter is a little bit, might be longer, but Kneppel is burlier. I mean, they can both shoot it. Huerter has a little bit more off the bounce. Huter's release, he kind of has that. Huter's got a trigger. He more ball handler, like cut you up a little bit and then head, and just. Whereas Kahn, I love Kahn on the short corner. I love him on the high post. I love him getting second chance points. He can defend multiple positions. And just like I like to see him post up, get cross matchups, and just play from that. Get him on a smaller guard or a weaker defender, and just go over them. Like I said, he played his EYBL team out of Wisconsin, and he was, he shined. He didn't come into the EYBL circuit, which is coming up in a week or two, first couple weeks of July, and so we're going to be on that. As AJ DeBanter takes his talents to the college level, we're going to be on the preps coming up through the ranks. That's something that I appreciate. Referee some of those games means a lot. Enjoy it. So remember, we got KD on here looking just crazy. So let's just there we go. We'll get that KD for you back on the screen. But this is good, and about how to train. And again, train how you train. Everybody. But the point is, it's not one size fits all, is the point. And I think we've lost a little bit of just, play basketball. You get better at playing basketball by playing basketball. Check in further.
Doing a little drill where I go run on the treadmill for 5 minutes, jump off, make 1 3, come back, jump on the treadmill for 5 minutes, how to make 5 in a row. And I train myself basically in those moments. It's like, listen, I'm going to be that dude on this team because D Wade, Bron, and CB need space. When they throw the ball to me, I got to deliver. And so I just got sick of the crowd like, yo, we hired you to shoot, bro. You know what I mean? But it was different because you have no feel for the game.
Right there.
Yeah, you have no feel. You have no feel for the game, though. You know what I mean? Like when you're in the game and you got rhythms going, you're good. But when you're just run up and down and then they throw you and you got 23 feet, you got a cash. Like you gotta be a motherfucker mentally. I'll be honest. Well, I started doing a little drill where I go run on the treadmill for 5 minutes, jump off, make 1 3, come back, jump on the treadmill for 5 minutes, how to make 5 in a row. And I trained myself basically in those moments. It's like, listen, I'm going to be that dude on this team because D Wade, Bron, and CB need space. When they throw the ball to me, I got to deliver. And so I just got sick of the crowd like, yo, we hired you to shoot, bro. You know what I mean? But it was different because you have no feel for the game.
Right there.
Yeah, you have no feel. You have no feel for the game, though. You know what I mean? Like when you're in the game and you got rhythms going, you're good. But when you're just run up and down and then they throw you and you got 23 feet, you got a cash, like. You gotta be a motherfucker mentally. I'll be honest. Well, I started doing.
Again, Mike Miller here. Role acceptance. Mike Miller was a dude. He's a dude coming out of Florida. He was the guy. Had to find his role in the N.B.A. Found it, mastered it, had a good career. So again, the N.B.A. This is what my team needs me to do. This is what I'm gonna do. Talking about it because he was. Mike Miller's 6'8" with handles. Go back and watch the Florida tape. He's 6'8", can handle it, can run the team, But you're playing with LeBron, you're playing with D Wade, you're playing so you're not gonna be touched. You're not gonna get that same usage. But we're trying to win championships, so this is what I have to do. So I'm gonna do. So again, we talk about the mentally coming into the league, mastering your role. Okay, that determining the longevity of your career. No lies detected. Let's talk about finding that love for the game when you play for elite coaches.
It's just, like a couple of years ago, I think, basketball was just, it was kind of dark for me. And it was just not fun at all. And I got traded here and, these guys, they just gave me, a boost and I started with Ty obviously, but just playing with these guys has been so incredible. Just found my joy for the game, and just playing with so much, swagger and happiness, and that's just all I want to do, as a player, man. And I lost that for a while, and it's just so incredible that I came to a team like these guys and Chad, KP, Herb Simon, the whole ownership group, coaches, Rick. Yeah. It's just, a couple of years ago, I think, basketball was just, Like, yeah, I didn't think like, this was possible, just because the situation that I was in, and just to see how amazing we did this year, and all the things that we accomplished. It's obviously there's no more victory because we want to win, and we thought, like we did, a lot to put ourselves in a position to win, and obviously it sucks, and we didn't do that, but I'm super proud of everyone. Like, yeah, I didn't think like, this was possible, just because the situation that I was in, and just to see how amazing we did this year, and all the things that we accomplished. It's obviously there's no more victory because we want to win, and we thought, like we did, a lot to put ourselves in a position to win, and obviously it sucks, and we didn't do that, but I'm super proud of everyone. Like,
Spicy P, elite coach Rick Carlisle found the joy. N.B.A. Finals. A few more.
Of human struggle, worrying about other people's perceptions about who you are. Like, why would you ever care about that, And I think that I fell victim to that in my past, of worrying about things that I can't control. It's okay to be human. Like, I don't have to be perfect for anyone here, nor do I have to be perfect for the public. So I'm not here to dispel any perception. I'm just here to be myself.
Respect to Kyrie on signing his deal.
That's another root of human struggle, worrying about other people's perceptions about who you are.
He's in a good place.
Like, why would you ever care about that, And I think that I fell victim to that in my past, of worrying about things that I can't control. It's okay to be human. Like, I don't have to be perfect for anyone here, nor do I have to be perfect for the public. So I'm not here to dispel any perception. I'm just here to be myself.
Hey, man. Disagree with Kyrie previously. He's in a good space. More success. One of the things he talks about that doesn't resonate with me is that you don't dehumanize me. I have a right to feel, and now you do have responsibilities being in the public eye, hundreds of millions of dollars, but you have the right to be yourself as well. So respect to Kyrie, those statements, and I'm glad he's in a good space, good place, and he's doing his thing. Two more.
To know the guys in your locker room who you can mess with.
Yes, we are talking about Drew Holiday.
And I have no idea, but Drew Holiday comes here. He signs in 2023, brings championship pedigree to the Celtics with him, right? Yeah. They win a championship with him. He's a great defender. He's unbelievable in the community. He and his wife have a foundation. They do a ton of great work, right? So you have to understand, like, to me, there are certain guys in a locker room you just flat don't mess with. And there are certain guys you can say, hey, c'est la vie, we'll see you around the corner. And I don't know if he's one of those guys or not, but you better have done your homework before you move a guy like Drew Holiday. Yeah. You have to know the guys in your locker room who you can mess with and who you can't mess with. And I have.
Thank you, Mark. You've heard it. Okay, you're not just hearing it from me. Okay. Failure. We'll keep these receipts. Failure. All right, let's try to finish on a little bit more positive note. This will be the last one. LeBron being there.
Yeah. I'm going to read something.
Dig in the archives.
Yeah, I'm going to dig in the archives. So I have a group chat with me, Bronny, and Bryce.
Okay.
And, from time to time, I'll send just, things that just, focus them back in. So I sent this June 18th, 2024. I'll tell you who this guy is after I read this. Unranked in high school, 0 D1 scholarship offers, played 3 years of Division II basketball at UCCS.
I know who it is.
Transferred to Colorado, and now is an NBA champion.
Hell
one of the best teams in the NBA. That guy's Derek White.
One of the best teams in the NBA. Interesting.
And my message was
nothing about the second apron.
Everybody's road to success is different. So stay locked in and patient. That was my message to my boys last year. Can I read something?
Yeah.
I'm going to read something.
Dig in the archives.
Yeah, I'm going to dig in the archives.
Yeah, go ahead and dig in the archives.
So I have a group chat with me, Bronny, and Bryce.
Okay.
Let's go dig in those archives.
And, from time to time, I'll send just,
folks want to trade away
things that just, focus them back in. So I sent this June 18th, 2024.
We're gonna.
I'll tell you who this guy is after I read this. Unranked in high school, 0 D1 scholarship offers, played 3 years of Division II basketball at UCCS.
I know who it is.
Transferred to Colorado, and now is the NBA champion on
Hell
one
of
of
a
the best
player.
teams in the NBA. That guy's Derek White.
Hell of a player.
Hell of a player.
Yeah.
And my message was to them, everybody's road to success is different. So stay locked in and patient. That was my message to my boys last year.
Message.
Can I read something?
Yeah.
I want to read something.
Stay locked in, stay patient. I didn't hear nothing about the second apron. I heard stay locked in and stay patient. That's what I heard. Hey, you know, it is what it is. Times change. It was a beautiful thing while it lasted. Celtics team. Drew, White, JT, JB, Crispy P. It's a beautiful thing. Parade last year, didn't go. City was, okay. Don't talk to me about the second apron. Oh, well, 200. Okay, you knew the second apron was the second apron before you signed Drew. You could have put him on a shorter deal. All right, and with the statologist and the capologist and people take shots and come at me and whatever. Okay, even if you run up against the second apron, talking about possibly, $200 million and it's overwhelming. Okay, you keep the core four together. Crispy P, you gave him up. You gave up Al Horford, you got him back. Keep the core four together. All right. I like Chandler Parsons too. Interesting comp for Kneppel. Chandler got himself a deal with the Rockets and then kind of never heard from again after that. Let's go and check the chat real quick. So, yeah, happy for Kneppel. Looking forward to the draft. Chandler got paid, didn't really live up to that contract, but he got his money, and hopefully he saved his money and is riding off into the sunset. Oh, okay, hold on. Thank you. I'm sharing, so I can't. Let's get back right. Folks, we did 3+ hours. Had to be what it had to be. SandCity.